Still reason I want.
All right, we're live, man.
First time I've heard that.
Oh, really?
As a bumper, yeah.
Really?
Wait, shit, that's me.
I switched that, actually, I think it was like episode 15.
Oh, yeah?
I was getting sick of listening to the old one, so
Yeah.
I was like, I'm switching it, and I felt like that was the best sounding thing I had in my library at the time, so yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Dalton Lightkeeper,
Hi.
back again
Back again.
on a brand new mission. No, we're not doing that. But yeah, that was actually you playing lead guitar on that demo.
That's me.
It's a catchy tune.
That's what I do. Yeah, that one's turning out really good. The more I work on that one and come back to it and fuck around with it, the more I like it. We don't have a version of that old bumper, that like that's the hammer-on-y.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have it.
Yeah, I should throw it on the.
It is. It's in the drive.
Where in the drive?
Under the Scratch demo folder. Jeremy already put vocals over it, which are in the Scratch folder with it's like Scratch demos with Volks or something like that.
Okay.
They're all in there now. Catch up, bud.
Well, I'm sorry. I've been doing homework. I've been reading about
what's
Prince
up?
and Darling Nikki and
What's up, schoolboy?
Schoolboy. I'm in school, boy. That's the story. Got a journalism class about mass media and pop culture and how they kind of one reflects the other. You know, like pop culture.
So
is
what are
what's
they
popular,
teaching you right
and what's
now?
popular is what they're telling us is popular. You know, it's a self-licking ice cream cone.
So what are they teaching you right now about pop culture and mass media with good old RGB or RBG?
Oh, it's all
Being
online.
dead.
Like, I'd have to look and see what the discussion boards are going to end up like at the end of this week. But
it's fucking wild how quickly and blatant and egregious the Republican Party has shown themselves to be open hypocrites. They demanded. Oh, let me turn this fan on.
Here's the thing, though.
They demanded that Obama wait. It was like
election.
What was it like? It was like 9 months.
Yeah, like,
and they were like, nope, the election. Like
Scalia passed away in like February or March or something like that.
The election cycle has already started.
Yeah,
you must wait. Now we're like what 60 days away from the election or less.
Yeah,
it's November.
Yeah, we're
4th?
we're less than 50. I know that much.
I mean, well, fuck, dude. It's like the 20. What's the date today? The fucking 20 what? 23rd, 22nd. My birthday's on Friday, so fucking.
Right.
What's today then? The 21st.
Right. Here's the thing, though, is they've just had the Senate, you know, and per the Constitution, the Senate confirms the president's appointees to the Supreme Court for a lifetime appointment. That's just how it works. And
sure.
When they had control in 2016. With the time to confirm someone.
I see what you're saying.
They were just like, how about fuck you? Because that's what our politics is. It's all pro wrestling.
So explain that to people who are confused. Explain that, like, you don't have to go into extreme detail, but at least explain the concept of what you're talking about. Because a lot of people, including myself, are only thinking, no, you fucking strong-armed them in 2016. You wanted it to wait till the new election happened, and now you want it to happen before the next election. You're saying, of course, it's a little more nuanced than that.
It's not even nuanced. It's way simpler than that. It's just about them. Like, this isn't surprising at all if you've been paying attention for any amount of time. You know.
Well, the president appoints them, what they, correct? Yeah. Well, and then the Senate votes them in?
Well, the Senate confirms their seat.
Okay. And where does the list come from? Is that the House?
No, it comes from the president. The president makes that appointment.
Right, but it comes down to like a list of people that are...
No, it's usually like there's a very short list. There'll be like 1 or 2 or 3 maybe, but like they don't publish the whole list all at once. It's like, we're going with this guy. This is who we want. And it was Merrick Garland under Obama's administration, and the Republicans were like, well, we hold the Senate, so no. But it was spun as this reason.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, so
we don't have to because But that's all it was, is we don't have to, so we're not going to, nana nana boo boo.
Because the Republicans had control of the Senate.
Yeah, and they
have control of the Senate now.
Right.
So they're going to make it happen.
Yeah. And there may be some legislative jujitsu that the Democrats can pull, like, hey, before we do that, we're not gonna automatically give unanimous consent for certain items, where it's like you have to ask to like bring certain items to the floor. So we're gonna go do away with that, and then we're actually gonna read the National Defense Authorization Bill on the Senate floor as part of the public record. And in doing so, effectively just try and filibuster out for like...
Wait, what? Wait, okay, back up. Explain that again.
Like, they could be like, no, we're not going to have unanimous consent to like stop reading, like, part of the processes of the actual Senate, of how they like bring a bill up for debate or to like read legislation and things like these. They can do those kinds of maneuvers, because if you can get enough senators on board to filibuster and read for the next 4 months or however long it takes,
right,
Senate might never have an opportunity to vote for a Supreme Court nominee. What's scary is, my thought process is, we need an odd number on the Supreme Court before the election happens. Because this election's going to happen, and both sides are going to claim they won. And
say that again?
We need an odd number on the Supreme Court.
Because it's 8 now, right?
Yeah.
Or is it 12?
Yeah.
Is it 8 or 12?
And this is just a purely hypothetical...
How many Supreme Court justices
there were
are there?
9. There's 8 now.
Yeah, why isn't it an odd number?
Because one of them just died.
Oh, so
I'm saying we need...
It's more important to have a 9th judge than bicker over who and when it's appointed, because having an even number of judges...
But I'm not exactly saying that either, because
so what are you saying? Because I feel like you're speaking
part of
a little bit above my intellect level here.
I'm just thinking hypothetically, like,
sure, but I'm having a hard time keeping up. So
yeah, well, let me explain my what if of what ifs here,
okay,
because that'll help clarify this. What if the Democrats are successful in not getting someone new appointed to the Supreme Court before the election, right? So the election happens. This election is going to be a fucking mess. It's going to be contested. I mean, there's gonna be widespread claims of voter fraud. Trump's going to claim that 5 million undocumented immigrants,
unless he wins.
No, I'm like, oh right.
Whoever wins is going to say everything was great.
Right, but
whoever loses is going to lose.
This is going to be the
shit.
problem, because that's what Trump's going to say, and then the Biden camp is going to claim that there was voter intimidation and all sorts of election rigging and interference from Russia and a litany of other things. So this is gonna go very badly. So if
for all of us, no matter who wins, but
it's just going to be a fucking mess.
It's just going to whoever wins is going to be like, nope, everything was great.
Yeah.
But whoever loses,
especially on election night,
dude, and that's going to go multiple ways, right? Because if Trump loses, he's already put out qualifying statements of not leaving the White House and challenging the election.
Oh, I know.
Which is gonna make people lose their shit.
Right.
If he wins, those same people are gonna lose their shit.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be just a fucking mess. But here's my
100%.
My what if of what ifs is, what if there's 8 members on the Supreme Court and they have to decide who the next president's going to be, because that's happened before, and it happened 20 years ago exactly, if you remember. Like all the bullshit in Florida, with their ballot fuckery and hanging chads and all that nonsense. And it was all...
You're talking about the Bush-Gore election in
yeah,
2000?
Yeah, yeah. Because think about how different our world would be if
That did come down to the Supreme Court,
yeah,
didn't it?
yeah.
Having
it took,
to...
like, I remember it was like December or something before they were like, no, this guy's got it. Just because the country has to keep moving. Like
now, the good news is
they could have
like,
been investigating that for years and years and years.
Now, here's the only good news and why it was slightly different. It was not about an incumbent. It was the vice president versus the new guy.
Right.
And Clinton wasn't going to leave office until January regardless, because that's when inauguration happened. So that's why it was a little different.
Right.
Safer.
Yeah, it was definitely safer in that regard. Like, granted...
But I do understand
Al Gore
your
as the
point,
vice president
because
still has...
the last thing we could let them do is come down to a tie. Is that what you're getting at?
Right. I think, and if that were to happen...
So you're saying if you're a DNC strategist, you're saying actually let them appoint someone.
Maybe
we fight who it is, but it's better to have somebody appointed,
right,
than not appointed.
Right. And with the
sorry, it gets chilly in here a little bit. Once I turn that fan on,
no, you're
hold
good.
on, let me crank this.
That's
back
why
up.
I brought the jacket, because I knew I've been in this basement before. I know how this works. And you know, I'm just some dude who spends too much time on the internet, you know. And
but the reason
burping microphones.
The reason I value your opinion so much on this is because you may not be an authority on this, but you have the experience to see how information is specifically weaponized.
Yeah.
and in our culture, it seems like information is specifically weaponized to scare the shit out of people and get them in a panic.
Yeah.
Or piss them off and get them angry.
It's the most effective way to inform people of things, is to scare them.
Or piss them off.
Yeah. I mean,
it really for me everything
like
is boiling down to
like
those
the WebMD the number of WebMD doctor's appointments that end up becoming like emergency room issues is like, I know there's data out there somewhere, but it's got to be hilariously astounding.
Oh,
you know,
I see
like,
what you're saying.
Look, if you look at like when did WebMD go online, and like, can we get just like a national chart of overall ER admission rates, just because people were like, how do I remove this mall ninja throwing star from my brother's forehead without killing him, kind of stuff happens on WebMD before it happens in the ER, you know?
1996.
96. Wow. WebMD's been around that long?
I had no idea.
Dude. Jesus Christ. Like, I can't even fuck WebMD. Like, that's that's too young, man.
That's still old. It's 24.
Well, for the internet, yeah.
It's 24.
Yeah, that's old for the internet, man.
Dude, I mean, you're only what, 9 years older than that?
Yeah, but 11 years older.
That's
older.
dude.
I gotta draw a hard line at 10.
Here's the thing is, even when I was 25, 26, 29, 30, and I was out dating, I had already developed a rule that I didn't date women under the age of 25, because most of them haven't figured out their shit yet,
right?
And they also haven't freaked out yet. There's something called the early 20s freak out that men and women do, coming out of like your typical college age. So somewhere between usually 21 and 24, you have like almost like a midlife crisis, right? You start questioning everything you've done because you're about to end college and enter the real world. Like, all your decisions suddenly become real.
Right.
Did you pick the right major? Are you dating the right person? Is the career going to be the right thing? You just got a job offer. Maybe you got to move to a new city. Maybe you're not moving and you're like, fuck, now I got to settle for this.
And you're not even talking about those things. You're talking about the one thing that they're going to fuck up horrendously that's going to change the course of their life.
Sure.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And for me, you know, that was getting out of music, getting married, and joining the Navy. Like, not that I would go back and do those decisions differently. That's not the case at all. I love my daughter, and I had made an amazing career in the Navy.
Right.
You know, but like, that's what that was for me. I was 23,
Right.
and by the time I was 25, I was joining the Navy.
Sure.
You know, so exactly that.
Yeah,
You
and I just so I understand not wanting to date a 24-year-old, but I'm just saying the 10, 11-year-old, yet 11-year age gap means
It's really
way
fucking
less.
gross when you're 20.
Right, right, and it's weird if you're 25,
Right.
and
Dude,
it's weird if
there's
it's weird if you're 30 and she's 19. It's still weird then, but for some, you see what I'm getting at? So like a 30-year-old dating a 19-year-old, it's fucking weird.
Yeah,
But
totally legal.
But a 35-year-old dating a 24-year-old, way less weird.
Right,
A 40-year-old dating a 29-year-old is almost nothing.
right,
A 50-year-old dating a 39-year-old is nothing.
right.
You know what I mean? Like it's so weird how we perceive that age gap. It's
Right.
like it's on an accelerator, and then all of a sudden, dude, you see a 60-year-old man with a 40-year-old woman, you don't even blink twice at it.
Right.
But I always think, dude, when you were 30, she was 10. That's fucking weird, bro. But I'm the only one who thinks like that.
Yeah. So
When you were 40, she was 20.
yeah,
You
here's a
sick
fun
fuck.
fact. Here's a fun fact. My dad is 10 years older than my mother. My mother is 10 years older than my dad's oldest son
From the previous marriage.
from the previous marriage. His wife is
So he had that kid when he was like exactly 20.
yeah. Yeah. My brother Matt is 10 years younger than him. They're all born in eights. My dad was 48, mom was 58, Chad was 68, Matt was 78, Kyle was 87. She fucked it up.
You're what, like 85?
I'm 85, yeah.
85.
So my brother Chad, who's 10 years younger than my mother, has a wife who is 11 years older than him.
Oh, wow.
So my mom has a daughter-in-law who is older than her.
That's fucking crazy.
It's fucking crazy.
That's the
But I
weirdest
mean,
shit
like,
to me.
they're all in, like, their fucking 50s, 60s, and 70s, you know?
But I want to get back to this information.
The end of the world?
thing.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Enough
because-
about your family. Can we talk about how everything's falling
Yeah,
apart?
because I honestly, when we start talking, like when we start throwing around numbers like that, I just get super confused. Like
Right.
I'm just so bad with, like, I can do complex math, but it has to be in writing, and I have to go really slow.
Yeah, dude, I am terrible. I failed calculus,
And then
so I know.
no offense either. This is nothing against you either. This has nothing to do with Dalton, but it's also something that everyone can relate to when it's someone that's like, oh, and then my uncle, and then his cousin, and then the sister.
Right,
and
right.
it's
You
like,
just get lost.
yeah, it's
yeah.
like I don't have faces. You're
Well,
throwing a
and
couple names
beyond
out
that,
here, but like,
and I know, like, as I'm telling you, like, all of
I
those
just I
things,
also know the
I know
listen-
you just do not give a shit.
No, I do.
No,
care,
no.
But the
no,
listeners don't.
No, yeah. Because
And
like
we're
I
still
know,
on
I
the
know how
internet.
I tune out on that kind of shit. Because I tune all the way the fuck out.
And somebody is going, are they really going to sit here and do this right
Oh my
now?
god! Like, oh my god!
So and so
Do we have-
Matt's and
but
then
big gap-
Ryan's and
Jesus Christ! What book of the
they're
Bible is
they're
this?
like, all
It's
right, I'm
terrible.
done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
yeah. Tune out.
Us doing that little rant was far more entertaining than what we were actually talking about. But no, seriously, like, here's the thing. So if I'm understanding you correctly, like, it obviously is the highest priority to get the right justice in there. But but almost as much, if not more of a priority right now, with all things being considered,
Right.
it's more important to get someone in there rather than bog down the process for political and petty victories to try to gain momentum or position later.
The thing of it is because
What
of,
happens if the Supreme Court comes to a tie?
I don't fucking know.
Because I read several scenarios where Pelosi becomes president. And
It's entirely
the most-
possible.
That's
Yeah.
the most terrifying.
Yeah, but for like a whole completely different list of reasons.
Right. Again,
You know?
though,
But
like, and
yeah,
that's what
but-
I'm
but
getting
yeah,
at.
I'm not saying you're wrong on that front at all.
I would gladly
I'm just
take
sick.
Biden over Pelosi.
Like, I think more than anything else,
And how does that work?
so
does she
many
take
Americans
for,
are
does
just
she go for?
annoyed with this cast, you know.
But
now
let
that
me
we can
ask
call
you-
it a cast.
But let me ask you this: if she does end up president, and however that scenario works out, is she president for the next 4 years?
I don't think certain members of the Republican Party would let it happen.
But let's say it
But
does,
like,
because there's
no,
a way
because
it happens in a certain chain of command situation.
I think it might
Let's
break
say-
down. Like that's what I'm afraid of.
But just bear with me, thought
yeah.
experiment, because I don't know the rules on this, and I'm not looking this shit up because we could spend an hour and not actually get to the right answer.
Right. And it's,
So
yeah,
So here's what
the
my
big documents out there.
here's my very specific question. In the hypothetical situation where a Pelosi, not even her, a Pelosi, whatever, Speaker of the House, right?
Mhm.
If she ends up president, which has never happened, we've always figured it out before it ever got to that, but that rule's in place for a reason, right? Does
Well,
she become president for the next 4 years, or do we immediately run another election?
That I don't know. I don't.
Are those
I
two
think,
guys disqualified, or do they get a second run? Do we just rerun the election? You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
what the
I think
fuck
because,
happens?
Because of how it's written, because of how simply it's written, presidents are sworn in for a 4-year term. So if there's that much, because it'd be the same case if the president and vice president both died, Speaker of the House would become president. Like, it's just about continuity of government. That's that's the basic thing there.
I should just find the
the
article.
foundation of it is that there's never not a president.
Right.
So, but if it were to come to a spot
maybe
where
when she
we have
becomes president, it's temporary until things get figured out.
well,
Is that what you're saying?
I mean, if it comes to that point, there's no telling how it's going to move forward from there because of who our political parties are and what the social fabric of the country is like right now.
Okay, now Oh, fuck you, USA Today. They're the worst. Ad wall. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to look something up here. Just go. I don't want to go Fox News. I don't even know what the Hill is.
It's pretty far to the left.
Okay, let's see here.
But it's not bad. I mean, it
just says
it editorializes quite
it'd
a
be
bit.
a tie in the Electoral College. That's the first. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Fuck
ads.
that.
I don't think they
Jesus.
heard that. Thank God.
Oh my God! If you autoplay,
So something
video,
about like if they tie in the Electoral College. Yeah. See, it gets convoluted right out of the gate. I don't feel like reading this on the fucking air, dude. This is dumb.
No, definitely not.
But it's not impossible. It did say that right in there. It's like improbable, but not impossible.
Right.
And if it happens, is it temporary until we get it figured out, or is she sworn in for 4 years?
I think it would if the election is contested and the Supreme Court is trying to come to a conclusion, it would probably there'd probably be a fight over whether it would be a 4-year term or whoever wins takes over, whoever won the election takes over. It's just it's weird because it feels like, to me at least, that this year is kind of, you know, we haven't peaked yet. You know what I mean? Like it feels like we're like we've as the year's gone on. You know, January.
Well,
February we start hearing about COVID, and then COVID comes, and like the whole country gets fucking locked down. And just as everyone's kind of settling into like, okay, well, this is a weird new normal that we've got to get used to, then George Floyd happens. And it's just been fucking batshit bananas ever since.
There's protests and riots every day somewhere.
People getting shot in the street for, you know,
I bet you
persuasion or another. You know,
I bet you there has been a protest every single day in this country since George Floyd, if not the first COVID shutdown. One protest somewhere in the country every day, and one at least small riot. And the crazy thing is, and I'm specifically talking post George Floyd on the riot thing.
Yeah.
Because after dark, a lot of those protests fucking turn, and it's different people that show up and they start rioting and looting and shit. And I bet you, just like people get desensitized, the news got desensitized.
Absolutely. Because once Windows stopped, and here's the thing:
riots became so normal that the media doesn't even report on them all.
Well, they report on them, but
they
don't report on peaceful protests. There's just no news there. There's nothing exciting happening.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Exactly. You know, and it's it's a side effect of it. We can point to this.
Oh, remember the cameras that way.
Yeah. I got a really great profile. I got a really great profile. Let me have my face. All right, it's mine. Face shaming me.
You greedy fucker. Yeah, keeping your face to yourself. Yeah, just spin that way.
What was I saying though? See, now look what you've done.
Well, dude, I realized you're facing the wrong way.
What was I saying?
What were we just talking about? We were talking about the riots and the protests and about how they don't put the protests. They don't televise protests anymore.
Yeah. So that is a direct result of the capitalist structure of news organizations.
Right.
Because they're trying to get ratings and trying to earn profits and trying to get advertisers and trying to get eyes and all of these things. Right. Like a special about Sweet Martha's cookies isn't going to fucking do it, because if that's what's happening, no one cares. They're getting Sweet Martha's cookies.
Pull that sheet a little over. I don't know how this keeps happening. I think it's because the chair's fabric and the old chair was leather, so the old chair just kind of slid.
That fan's blowing right at it, too.
Yeah, but I think it's the new chair, because the new chair, I think, grabs it and pulls it open when you guys spin, and the old one was leather, so I think it just slid by.
So a great movie that illustrates that if it bleeds, it leads is Nightcrawler. And if you haven't seen it, it's Jake Gyllenhaal at like his fucking creepy best. Like, oh my God. Oh, just this greasiest fucking dude.
Doesn't he start like committing accidents or crimes or something?
Yeah, like he does some really, really
I've seen that
heinous
movie.
shit.
It was a good movie, though.
Really good movie.
He's a fucking great actor.
He really is. If you want a real mindfuck, watch Enemy.
I feel like I've seen that too.
It's based on like a Dostoevsky thing. I want to say Dostoevsky, but I'm probably wrong. Could be Tolstoy. But it's about a guy who sees like his double. Like, it's not his twin, because he would know about a twin, but like it's a dude that looks exactly like him. And so they switch lives, and like it's an exploration in who are you really?
Sure.
Even underneath your skin, kind of a exploration of that. But it's Jake Gyllenhaal kicking ass, and the ending is super strange, which I like. I like strange movies.
Yeah. Right now, I don't know why you just reminded me of this, but like right now, I feel like everybody could benefit from that type of experience almost like a mushroom trip, like really trying to break down self, because I think people are so fired up and attached to movements and cults.
Right. They're either they're very much making a lot of binary choices. Like the pro this, anti that.
Yeah, but they get caught up in the emotional fervor of fucking being a part of something larger than themselves. I mean, I'm watching people do it all over again with the football thing, because I had my meltdown a few years ago, and I'm back on board. I like the Vikings again, but it's not the same.
Right.
It's not the same. So now, like, I'll still say some crazy shit on Facebook, like I won't support this team as long as Kubiak is the offensive coordinator.
Right.
And my buddy Jeff, shout out to Jeff, he says, I bet you'll still watch next Sunday. And it's like, dude, watching has nothing to do with this. I'm talking about, like, I already cut off financial support.
Yeah.
Right? And when I say I'm not going to support this team, I'm talking about, like, rooting for them.
Yeah.
Like, even giving a fuck. Like, I will watch them because I love football, and that's what's going to be on when they're playing.
Right.
Like, I still watch the 3 o'clock game. I still watch the 7 o'clock game.
Yeah, but there's another noon game going on another channel. And if the like, dude, I've done it. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If the Vikings are being the Vikings, I'll watch something more interesting happen.
Exactly. And I'll turn the fucking channel and I'll go to CBS.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
I'm done. It's over. Like, as long as this asshole's the offensive coordinator, I'm not watching anymore.
Dude, it's just hard to be a fucking Vikings fan.
It's hard to be a Minnesota sports fan right now, and it has been for about 20 years.
Well, we've had a pretty good WNBA team, and I'm sure 86 of their fans
Look at
are
that
going to be
giant
all
spider.
about it. Yo, dude, that's dope. I love spiders.
You can see him on cam too.
Dude,
He's
right
right up there.
Right there.
He's got to die, but we won't do it now. I don't need PETA coming after me. I'll find you later, bud. Here's the thing: is if he climbs up and does one of the things where he comes down near me, he's dead. There is no capturing him and releasing him.
Dude, we went camping a couple months back
Spider
with a bunch
lives
of
don't
my
matter.
girlfriend's friends from work, and we got a bunch of firewood from the ranger station at this park, and we all threw like a bundle or two in our trunks and went back to camp. Sun started going down, and one of our buddies, big 6'5" dude, 250 pounds, but like a lean 250, goes over to his trunk to grab a pile of wood and runs away fucking screaming like a girl.
Spider?
Snake.
Oh, really?
Like a little garter snake, like
Right.
like a fucking 12 inch.
Because I'm thinking Minnesota, and Midwest.
Right.
Like we don't have any.
Yeah,
real
we
snakes
were
here.
at a
So that cracks because I immediately knew like okay,
yeah
you little bitch.
yeah. I'm like, no, I get it.
Speaking of, so we went camping recently, and we bought those fishing lures. And you go camping way more than I do. Have you used that new lure fishing yet? The one that we both bought a version of, because we found
yeah I have.
What did we find for Jazz? Was it like a shaft
jitterbug?
wrap? A jitterbug.
Yeah,
that's
it was a
what
jitterbug. That's what she's all about.
And I don't know if we found the right color, but we found her that, and then we found that other thing that I've been searching for years. And I'm telling you, dude, bass will slam that fucking thing. It might even be a little small, so you might just catch smaller bass.
Yeah. Well, we were fishing at Merrick State Park over in Wisconsin, and I was using those little frogs.
Yeah,
and I was getting big fucking hits, but
one,
because of how they're shaped.
Are you talking about the ones that are actual rubber frogs that you drop on a lily pad and then plop?
It was
them
that
off?
one that I lost in the reeds when we went camping.
Yeah,
that
okay,
guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I was actually getting pretty big hits on that, but because of how it's shaped, it's just fucking hard to set it because those hooks are right against the body of that thing.
Yep.
So you got to let it hit.
You got to let them take it.
Yeah.
You got to let them take it because they'll hit it. Bass are an interesting deal because if they're in a slow mode, they have two hunting modes, right?
Right.
And everywhere in between, but this is the simple way to think of it. And this is how, and if anybody's more experienced fishing than me and I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments. I'm always trying to learn how to be a better fisherman, but this is what I was taught when I was young. Okay, if they're in slow mode, they'll creep up behind something, right? Like in dark water and colder water, things like that. And they'll fucking come up and they'll just do one giant gulp and they'll swallow it all the way in.
Yeah.
But when they're more active, right?
Hitting
sometimes
on top water.
Yep. And sometimes they'll be coming from below. Sometimes they'll be just below the surface, still doing behind. They do two things. They come, they hit it, they move, and then on a second take, that's when they open their mouth to do the swallowing.
Aha.
So a lot of guys, when that first hit comes, right?
Yeah.
They immediately want to try to set the hook, but the fish hasn't swallowed anything yet.
Right. And he's about to open his mouth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's that second tug. And bass, it's just like anything else in this world, really. Each bass is a little different. So the timing is different is what I mean. It could take
depending on the fish.
It could take an entire second before you get that second tug.
Yeah.
It could be doo-doo. It could be 3 seconds.
Right.
Doom. Doom. And that's how I was taught. And when I have caught bass, it's when I've timed that properly.
Right.
And that's on that bait is what I'm really getting at, because like you said, if you try to set it too quick, it just pulls right out of the mouth. Much different if you're doing like spinner baits, crank baits, things like that.
Right.
I'm just talking on something like that. When it's worked for me, that's how it's worked for me. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If you guys are watching in the comments right now.
This motherfucker doesn't have a fucking clue what he's talking about. He's not using Oscar Mayer hot dogs.
Well, and some people might go, that shit might work up there, but that's definitely not going to work down here in Texas when you're doing 10-pound bass. They hit everything and they swallow. And that's the thing is like everything.
Super regional.
Yeah,
yeah,
dude.
fishing is super regional.
And your technique's different. Like you might be able to do a fucking soft little tweak on that first hit and set the hook where I can't. I was taught to do it in 2 moves. Boom. Let them take it and then wait for him. And then once you feel him grab it again, you.
Right.
And then I also, my big thing that I was always taught was to tire the fish out. So
Yeah, let them run.
Let them run.
Let them run.
And you only reel in right away to steer him away from like major weeds, rocks, things that can cut your line.
Get yourself into a good position to bring them in.
Yeah, but I watch these.
And ocean fishing's a lot like that.
Is it?
Yeah.
I figure it's got to be.
Like, there's a really great video on YouTube of some dude fishing some bridge down in Florida, and he's just like, he's fighting for like 15, 20 minutes. But by the time he's done fighting and letting this thing run and then like following it and running along the beach with it, like, it's a fucking shark, dude. It's
right.
like, it's like a fucking 8-foot long shark. And he just like picks it up and he takes the hook out and he's like, that was fucking cool, and lets it go. And that's like, that's
Those
it.
are cool.
Those
are cool. I've been watching the Spillway Monsters.
Oh, yeah.
So guys go out, and some of them aren't even very good fishermen.
But there's just huge fish there.
Well, and they're good at finding fish.
Yeah.
Like, there's two different skills there,
Right.
right? The first skill is finding the fish. The second skill is learning how to catch fish properly. Like, the thing I have a problem with this guy is this guy snags, and I was going to try to share his video last time. I'm glad I didn't, because I watched more of his videos, and he snags a lot of fish,
dude.
Which is an ethical thing, dude. Like, it's a serious...
Yeah, like, it's
like
a do no harm kind of thing. Like, leave no trace. There's an ethic to it.
Exactly.
That's got to be followed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And snagging fish.
Rude. Just
That's exactly what it is, dude. It's like, oh.
Just fucking rude.
Yeah.
Dude, you got to watch 39 Hours. It's Ontario. The province of Ontario produces it for YouTube. And it's this competition show where like 3 pairs of dudes have 39 hours to catch the most individual species of fish over a certain size.
Oh,
so they've got like they've got like 12 inches and then as many species of fish as they can catch.
Oh.
So like and whoever's got the biggest one of any given species,
the tiebreaker for that.
Yeah, well that's how they get the point. Like if Team Manitoba catches a 13-inch
that's
bass,
fucked.
And then another team catches a 14-inch one, they get that point for that fish.
Is it inches or pounds?
It's inches.
That probably depends on the fish, actually.
But it's hysterical because they have 39 hours to do it. And
it's probably based on the fish, because no one measures bass by inches.
Right.
It's pounds.
But they have to have like some sort of system that they use, and so they're catching like a lot of like muskies and pikes and like bigger fish up in like big lakes in Ontario.
Why the laws never make any sense in certain states, because they're like, you can only keep one over X amount of inches, and it's like, who the fuck cares how long it is? Is it a heavy fish? That's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
We measure fish on poundage. Like, oh, but
we're Americans, so we also measure distance and time. Like, Chicago's not, I don't know how many miles away.
That's a Midwest. No, that's a Midwest thing.
Is it? I think. Well, I mean, even when I was living on the Eastern Seaboard, it was like that still.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That blows my mind, because I've actually heard people touring here when they stop in, and I'm like getting to know people, and like they've stopped in a few times. They're like, man, I swear to God, the thing that confuses me the most is when I ask, how far is Walmart? There's like, when you're in the city, it's measured by blocks.
Yeah.
Right? When you're in LA, or maybe not LA, don't kill me. They'll say like miles. They'll be like, it's like 4 miles up the road, whatever.
Yeah.
Here it's measured in time. It's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a half hour.
Yeah.
And in fact, in Minnesota, it gets worse. It's just up the block, down the road, up the way,
where the barn used to be,
up the way, a little bit. Oh, it's a little bit.
Yeah, it's right down the road, yeah.
And then like a while.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a while. That's a 4-hour drive. That's a 4-hour drive is a while.
Right. What really threw me was the first time I met someone who I couldn't tell what they meant when they said, "Oh, that's fine." Like,
what do you mean? Like, not a woman?
No, but like, do you want a Dr. Pepper? That's fine. But like they said
that's such a disingenuous way to answer somebody.
Yeah, but it was weird because I couldn't, like, the way they said it was like right in between an affirmative and a negative tone, which is, we don't have
that's
that.
Fine.
But yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
And they were like a guest at your house.
I forget. Like I just remember. I wish I could remember the dude's face even.
When was this?
This was a while ago.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought this was recent. I
No,
was going to be
no,
like,
no,
don't
no.
invite him back.
Fuck that guy.
Seriously, though, like even if you're going to be a little apathetic, then you'd be like, no, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, that's fine.
Right. Yeah, it was weird.
Because there's so many other things you could say, like, even that'll do. Like, oh, that'll do.
Yeah.
Like, you say that'll do with the exact same tone you just used.
Right.
It's not negative. It's not in between.
But it made me
still,
like,
it's still like, yeah, that'll do.
Like, you learn, like, he had to have learned that from his parents, you know.
No, it's his wife. It's his cunt wife.
He was a young, like.
That's what it is.
Probably.
He hates his wife. That's what it is, dude.
But it just made
His
me
wife
wonder,
has
like,
ruined his life.
what was your upbringing like? Where, when someone asks you a question about something and you say that's fine,
That's someone who wasn't hugged enough. That's what it is.
You think maybe he hugged too much?
No, not hugged enough. But not beaten.
Right.
Never beaten, but never shown love. That's what a guy. That's when a man goes, that's fine. That's how you end up like.
He was a boy, if I remember correctly, a young man, early 20s. You got to remember.
Did he have testicles?
Probably.
Then you know what I mean.
Yeah. And you got to remember, like, when I joined the Navy, I was also an old dude joining the Navy.
Oh, was this in the Navy?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that guy then.
Yeah.
Especially fuck that guy.
Because I don't remember where he was from, but he was probably fucking Oklahoma or some shit.
Like, dude, here's the thing: is if the fucking military can't teach you how to be assertive and or polite, then go fuck
or
yourself.
Clear.
Right? Then seriously, go fuck yourself.
Fuck you, stranger from my past.
Just
hard.
jump off a bridge.
So hard. Go fucking vote, you moron.
Oh no! That's the thing is, don't vote. That guy, don't vote. I don't want like who do you think should be president?
No. He should vote because he'll end up like ticking both boxes.
That's fine.
That's fine.
He
just wants the sticker, man.
He'll be the guy that writes in his own president, which will be like,
I've done it.
So it'll be like, he'll do this. This is what he'll do. This is what that guy does. He writes in his own president, and it'll be his own ticket, and it'll be Trump Harris, right? Like or it'll be Biden Pence, right? Like he's like, well, I like this guy, but I like that woman, or vice versa.
If I remember correctly, when the Constitution was being drafted, there was an effort to put something like that in, where like the loser's vice president assumes the vice presidency in order to keep the power structure within the White House at the chief executive level.
You know, and now that you mention that,
but like it's a super vague memory.
I vaguely also remember, because you know there's like 11 presidents or something.
Oh, there's more than that
before Washington.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't ever.
The office was the office, but the duty wasn't the same.
Right.
No one wanted it. You basically like sat there and stamped your
right.
fucking.
Yeah, and part of the deal with electing George Washington was because he didn't want it, and it's part of this mythos behind George Washington. Like we elected him because he didn't want it. You know, it's this whole the best rulers are those that do not wish to rule. Yep. You know.
Well, it wasn't one of those things.
But it wasn't because of that. It was because up until that point, being president was very much a fucking rubber stamping kind of job. For
is it also true
from the House and Senate and shit?
Is it also true that he never ran for a third term, yet was still elected to a third term, even though the other two guys ran? He was elected and he turned it down because he was like, nobody should be president longer than 8 years. It wasn't just like at the end.
I don't know the details of that, but I do know like he did do 2 terms and that set the precedent. And that's
right.
And then
but I think he was still elected to a third one, even though he didn't run, because people were like, yeah, but we'll just elect him anyways.
And then we just put in.
And then he was like
second placer.
And then he was like, no, I'm not doing it. Like
really?
You can write me in, but I never ran. I'm not doing it. And I don't know. I don't remember that.
I've never heard that.
I vaguely hear that, or I vaguely remember that.
But it did set a precedent up until FDR
or maybe it
ran
was,
for like
maybe it was
4 terms and
consecutively,
and they were like,
I think I remember.
Hey, we got to change the Constitution now because.
No, I think I remember what it was. I think even though George Washington didn't run,
yeah,
I think he still was written in and won a few states. So he like got a couple electoral votes, even though he didn't run. I think because he stepped down and was like, nobody should be president for more than 8 years, blah, 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 blah. It set this tradition and precedent. And I think even though he didn't run, there were still enough people that the way information was traveling. I think this is what it was. This is like coming to fruition. Like some people never heard that.
Right.
You know? And so they were like, well, George Washington did a great job. Vote for him again. And he like literally took some electoral votes in that second election for second president. That's what I think actually happened, but I could also just be making that up. You guys can feel free to fucking, but I don't think I am. I think I vaguely remember hearing that. And he didn't win the election. It wasn't an issue. Somebody else still won. Because you're right. You asked me the question, and this was a long-winded way of me answering that question, is you said, is he did they put in a second placer? That's what you asked me. And I'm like, no, I don't think they did. And that's why I'm thinking, you know what? I don't think he won. I think he won a couple states.
That would make sense.
And I think he got a couple electoral votes just by default because certain people just wrote him in. They were like, how come Washington's not on here? Vote for him again. You know? Like, I don't know how it worked. I don't remember, but it doesn't it's not triggering my memory as something that I just like made up.
Right.
I really believe like I learned this.
Right.
And I think I learned it in the same class where I learned there was like somewhere between 7 and 11 presidents before George Washington.
Yeah. And that rings a bell.
And I think one of them was black, dude. I swear to God. I think one of them was a black dude.
Have you seen Hamilton, by the way?
Nope.
No?
I don't like hip-hop enough.
Yeah.
I don't. But I also don't like musicals at all.
Right.
So like
that's a hard sell for you.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do like hip-hop a little bit. So
it
might be just enough for me to swallow if I can get my hands on it. Where is it? Is it going on Netflix?
It's on Disney Plus.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
We're probably switching back there pretty soon. So if it stays there, I'll check it out.
Yeah. So as far as like I'm not a big fan of musicals either. Just as like a general rule, like
I can't stand
like the format like the songs are too long. They're too dramatic for what's actually happening. Like,
but it's also
I get it. It's really sad that your plant is eating people now. But
it's also the entire format, because even when like our favorite sitcoms and TV shows do a musical episode, Kate and I, like 5 minutes in, we're like, we can't do this.
Yeah,
and we just tune out and we stop watching.
Yeah,
News Radio, I think they did a new R one, but
like that 70s show had one.
I can't do the musicals, dude.
Yeah.
There's something about that song and dance that just drives me nuts. I don't know what it is, man. I'm not trying to sound super cool.
Like for me, it's a major turn off like 90% of the time. But the 10% of the time that it does work for me, it works really fucking well. You know, like certain whimsical aspects. You know, like there's like I love some of that escapism. Like the opening credits of the movie La La Land.
Here's where it worked.
Here's what's not working.
You're good. Oh,
I got it.
Nice.
Oh,
here's where it's
slippery. I'm so slippery.
Just tighten that screw a touch. That side screw, not a lot, or it won't spin. But if you tighten it just a little bit, it won't pop out.
Just enough to make contact.
Yeah, and then
provide a little friction.
And then you can do that move.
I'm just all over the place right now, too.
Good though. It's good though, man. But you know where it did work? All the musical shit. Every Disney movie ever.
Right.
Like, I even went and seen the new Lion King.
But the new Lion King just is not the same as the
I
old
don't
one.
care. My point is when they busted out into song and dance, it still didn't fucking bug me.
Right.
It didn't bug me in the first Lion King.
Are you talking animated musicals?
No.
Or live action as well?
Disney movies. Yeah. So I used the Lion King specifically because both. So the original Lion King, animated, didn't bother me because all Disney movies are part musicals. All of them are part musicals.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm getting at. Original Lion King, animated, musical, didn't bother me. New Lion King, which is technically live action, right?
Yeah, well, it's super CG,
but technically live action.
As live action as you're going to get.
Exactly. With animals.
Yeah.
Musical, still didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast way back in the day. Here's the thing. Didn't like the movie. Too much of a love story for a little boy who loves to play sports and fucking get in fights. Still don't love it nowadays because, again, still thing. Still the same thing. Like, that's just not my style. But Still a good movie. Musical part didn't bother me. Aladdin didn't bother me. The new Aladdin movie sucks.
Yeah.
But the musical part of it doesn't bother me.
Right.
There's something that Disney has been able to do with their musicals that all their movies ever
Right.
that don't fucking bug me. They
Well,
just don't.
Well, they got you as a kid too.
True, but why
that's
aren't I a fan of musicals? Because the imagery, it's not about nostalgia, right? We just cross
you connect those songs with those images in your head on a subconscious level when you hear them. And live action musicals, because you didn't grow up with like Grease as a tape.
Grease didn't bug me.
Yeah.
Grease works. Grease works.
But did you have it as a kid?
I mean, yeah, I watched it as a kid.
Yeah.
But I watched a lot of musicals as a kid, and I hated them all. But certain ones were like, okay, this one's actually kind of cool. Grease. Grease is a great example of one that works. Right out of the gate.
Right. Well, it's also, rock music. It's also like you as a person, as you've developed into a rock person.
Little Mermaid?
Yeah.
One of the best soundtracks of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
Under the Sea?
Absolutely. Classics. Bangers.
And maybe
I think I was 6 when Little Mermaid came out, and she was like my first erection.
So I think you're talking about the music. That's what you're. I think that's what you're
I can't
really
hear part of your world without having an insane erection.
Oh my god!
I'm sorry. My balls were just working when I was.
So I think the
6.
musical thing then for me is like, how baller is your music?
Right.
If the songs in your musical are great,
I'll be honest.
Then I'll buy the whole cheesiness aspect, and it won't matter. But if the music is cheesy and the music isn't good, like most musicals, I immediately like, all right, I'm out.
Right. And the thing about like Broadway style musicals is they're fucking unrelenting. They just don't fucking stop. It's just there's no room to take a breath. There's always someone doing a solo, or always some big dance number, or some big set change that's about to happen, which on one hand is great because it can keep your attention for a long time if you're into that sort of thing. But for me, like we made it 3/4 of the way through Hamilton before I was like, oh my god, how much is left? Like it's
really
long. Yeah, it's like 2 hours long, and
it's not
a musical.
So you're not sitting here singing its praises.
No, not by a long stretch.
Because that's literally the first thing I've heard that wasn't 100% sucking the dick of Lin-Manuel Miranda. But as a feat for him to like write it and produce the whole thing, still an incredible achievement. But like that being said, I understand that comes from my initial, prejudices about the format. Like I already have those complaints about every other Broadway musical. You know what I mean? Like whether it be Oklahoma or Phantom of the Opera, like Chicago
Cats, you name it. Like I'm just like, okay. Why would I pay $1,000 to sit in a dark room for 2 hours? And
that's why I like the off-Broadway plays in Chicago.
Yeah,
because the musical aspect was kept to a minimum, right?
Yeah,
and the seats were incredibly affordable.
Right.
They probably aren't anymore. And
I think a big part of the problem with the format too is the discrepancy between the quality of professionals and local theater. I dated this girl in Maryland when I was stationed there, and one of her friends was in like a local production of like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead or something like that, and it was I just fucking hate it. I just fucking hate like watching actors on stage like act
Did you watch
on
the
stage.
Emmys?
Huh?
Did you watch the Emmys?
Why the fuck would I watch the Emmys?
I almost feel like I need to pull this.
The only thing I care about the Emmys is did Schitt's Creek win, because that show was fucking awesome, and
I love that show,
and they fucking did. They fucking swept it, and that's fucking cool, and I'm happy for those people.
I also didn't watch the Emmys, but I saw one clip on Twitter.
Yeah.
That was quite possibly the most awkward thing I've ever seen on American national television.
Worse than George Bush doesn't care about black people? Because that was pretty awkward. I remember that one.
That wasn't mainstream television. That was cable.
No, that was like
that was MTV.
Was it an MTV?
100%.
Yeah,
he
that's
was
right.
Standing next to
fucking... But yeah, sorry, I'm not trying to undercut your. But it was. What did he say? What was?
I'm not even going to do it. I'm not even like. I'll tell you after the podcast.
Was it with Jimmy Kimmel?
Yes.
Okay. Like I saw I saw it on Twitter too. I didn't watch it, and I was like, okay, great.
I'll tell you after. I'll show you after the podcast.
Like, oh. Jimmy Kimmel looks a little sad. I almost feel bad.
Well, dude, and it was
I just can't be compelled to care about Jimmy Kimmel.
There's certain things that just shouldn't be done without a crowd.
Oh yeah.
You combine
like insult comedy. Because I can imagine that. Like
insult comedy.
You got to have a crowd for that.
You combine that with certain. Dude, we got to move on. I just can't do this. I can't do this on the podcast, dude. I can't.
You're making it worse than the actual thing that you were talking about.
Well, and is what I'm realizing is that there's no way to talk about it without like getting into it. And
right.
I do not want to fucking talk. I don't want to spend any time talking about the Emmys. I'm not into it. I'm not interested. It's a
back patting contest. You know,
dude, I've never watched the Emmys. Let me put it this way: when Ricky Gervais had his momentous fucking thing at what was it, the Oscars a few years ago?
Yeah,
I just watched that entire thing 3 months ago.
Oh, dude, it's amazing.
Not even. It was like a month ago.
It was so good.
It was actually like a month ago. Everyone was like, I'd seen the memes and shit. And finally I was like, all right, let me go fucking check this out. And I found a YouTube video where they took his entire, I think it was Oscars. He took the entire Oscar.
All the bits where he was just coming down hard on everyone.
And edited it all together. And it was pretty good. Don't get me wrong. It was pretty
good. Holding a lot of people to the fire.
I think he did that 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
That's how little I care about award shows.
Right.
Because they're fucking stupid, dude.
I mean, you see it reflected in the pop culture in the next couple of days anyway. It's.
I bet if you're there, it's a different story.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I would probably go.
It's got to be a fucking blast to be.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to sound like one of those
all those famous people and shit. That's fucking cool.
And I'm not trying to sound like one of those fucking. Intellectual elitists. They're like, the whole concept is stupid. You're just rewarding. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying watching them is fucking stupid. Being there would probably be if somehow I got to go, I would go just
events
to
like that are fucking fun.
And it probably would. It would probably be amazing to be there because I have a feeling it's like a football game where it cannot be replicated on TV. The shine, the colors, the glitz, the glam, the fucking the nostalgia.
People are drinking at their tables and rubbing elbows with you get sat next to Daniel Craig kind of shit. Like, oh my god,
some wild shit. Like, and even if you're in one of those spots where they're like, listen, you're not allowed to talk to anybody, but you're gonna be sat at the table with these 8 people, and one of them is Daniel Craig or Morgan Freeman or Brad Pitt. Cool.
Yeah, you just sit there. You sat next to him for a few moments.
I don't have to talk, but I'm going to sit here for an hour and a half to 3 hours, however long those stupid things last.
And I get to listen to him talk to everybody. They have seat fillers. So if someone has to go up for anybody has to go to the bathroom, there's someone waiting in the aisles to go fill their seat. So whenever there's a shot, there's never a chance of any seat being empty in any given venue.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, again, don't pay attention to these things. I just don't care.
Right. Well, I don't know. It's weird because I do, but only because certain elements of pop culture have had their hooks in me for a long time. There's always been a TV show or a movie that I was really excited to get into. But I was buying the Entertainment Weekly magazines at the age of 12 to read about the movies I wanted to see.
I get that. I guess here's my only case.
I get there's a lot of residual information when you're even passively interested in something.
Well, and I don't want to be that guy that's sitting here sounding like I'm making fun and talking shit about you or people that do watch these things. I guess is what I'm saying is here's why I don't care about the award shows.
Yeah.
Because art's not meant to be competitive.
Right.
Therefore, I don't value the trophies and the awards in them.
Right.
Is what I do value when it comes to awards is sports things because they're meant to be competitive. So MVP means something. Best play of the year means something. Rookie of the year means something because they're competitive sports. Art's not supposed to be competitive.
Right. And
so
well,
it feels a little fucking weird to put a value on it.
Well, and the way the awards shows work is different for each award. So like,
sure, that is true.
So for like the Academy Awards, there's like an actual Academy, and like,
and they vote
on who wins and who.
But again,
what they
not
think.
Supposed to be competitive,
right? And it's just it's like a who liked this movie the best out of the Academy, and the Academy has its own like can of worms issues, and then there's like the Grammys are put on by a different sort of Academy that does sort of the same thing.
Well, the Grammys are music, and it goes by album sales.
Does it go by album sales?
It used to. Now they might factor in downloads and streams.
Because like the Golden Globes are also...
It used to be purely album sales, but now it might go by streams and downloads too. I don't know. But
and now like the Golden Globes is...
The Grammys have always been a joke is what I'm getting at. That's how Jethro Tull beats Metallica in 1990 or whatever the fuck it was.
The first year, Jethro Tull wins because the first heavy metal Grammy because the people deciding who wins that don't know what the fuck heavy metal is.
No, it was because they got labeled heavy metal because heavy metal was
a classification
issue. So they said so when they filed, they said, okay,
we're a heavy metal band.
Yeah, and we're gonna go heavy metal. Or this album's heavy metal, whatever. And so they outsold And Justice for All and won the Grammy for it because back then it was strictly album sales. So you sell one more album and you're the better album. No, that's not how our art works, dude. Like, what the fuck, man? Especially music.
Dude, it's like Bruce Springsteen could put out a fucking bossa nova album and have the best bossa nova album on the fucking planet.
I am pretty
best-selling and award-winning. I mean, it's kind of like what happened with Santana with that album Supernatural with Smooth and everything on it. It was like, Santana's back
with
like,
the guest singers. Yep,
everybody throw like just the dog pile on that fucking album.
Here's another one.
Ridiculous.
No one
hates the song.
No
Smooth.
one on the planet says Britney Spears is better than Christina Aguilera.
No one you know.
No one says this. Someone might make an argument that she's a better dancer, which I could buy maybe. But here's what I'm getting at.
You really aren't on Twitter enough, are you?
She definitely outsold Christina Aguilera in total.
Right.
So, according to Grammys, or at least back in the day, she's better. And it's like, no. That's not how it works.
Dude, you got to go back into FabX and take a picture of the fucking equation.
Dude, I do. Because FabX is where we used to work in case anyway. And we came down with this equation. And the concept was like, it was talent times mutual respect of your peers.
Divided by album sales.
Equals, or no, it wasn't talent.
Talent
was the result. It was musical proficiency, so skill on your instrument.
Skill
times respect. Mutual respect from your peers in the music scene divided by album sales equals the talent. And is what it meant was we were trying to figure out if you have fans that like you and buy your records and all the musicians also respect you, which only happens if you're also really good at your instrument, then you are bona fide talented. No disputing it. There's no argument.
Right. And so period. I hadn't even failed calculus at that point yet, and I really should have. When I was taking calculus, I would have been able to at least make that equation a little bit better. But it was definitely fun to think about because you think about
we were definitely on the right track.
Yeah,
though.
Because we would compare like a Britney Spears to like a Dream Theater. Like they've got like all this technical prowess and all this respect from all these other musicians, but their album sales are shit. So yeah, a fun little thought experiment. Yeah, your Metallicas, your Testaments,
Metallica's got it all, right?
Yeah.
You've got a Prince or a Michael Jackson who've got it all.
I've never tried this.
You'll like it. You'll like it. You're not one of those snobby fucks.
No.
Like you'll actually just appreciate the beer for what it is.
It's
simple. It's light. It's easy to drink.
This can
that guy
immediately.
Is literally, by the way, I've watched this guy move back and forth. Now he's actually legitimately spinning a web behind you.
Nice. I am quite a catch.
He's got one string right here.
Oh yeah, I see it. I see
coming
it glistening in the light.
I think he went and attached it to the top of this. and I think he's trying to spin a web by that light. So
He'll
he
never
can't
get
catch
me.
shit.
He'll never get me.
I'll get him.
Mexican style lager with natural lime flavor. I love the can design. Very New Mexico.
This is very
Arizona.
local. This is
But
local.
it's grain belt. So
This
it's
is
a local
ancient tradition. So Grain Belt is one of the original Minnesota breweries. They went out of business for a long time, and then I think they tried to come back, or I'm probably fucking this up, but either way, Shell's Brewery bought them.
a storied history here in the Twin Cities.
And it wasn't craft beer. They just made like Grain Belt Premium.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah, cheap local swill. And what's been
it was good though. It wasn't cheap
fun?
local swill. It was great beer. Grain Belt is still a good beer.
Yeah,
it's very
absolutely.
sugary though. It'll give you a headache if you're not used to sugary drinks.
This one in particular, or
no, just Grain Belt in general. It's
so in.
I think they used, maybe not in this one, but in their regular Grain Belt, I'm pretty sure they use regular table dextrose when they're fermenting. And I can taste there's several different sugars you can use to ferment beer.
Yeah.
And they all will result in different tastes. So I've gone to fucking with like regular dextrose, table sugar. I've tried brown sugar.
Yeah. The chemical reaction's essentially the same. You're converting sugar into alcohol. So whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Technically ethanol, but yes.
Yeah,
you're right.
but yeah.
You're right. 100%. It really is that simple.
Dude, I tried to make beer exactly once with a buddy of mine when I was stationed in San Antonio. He had this beautiful 5-gallon glass carboy, and we built the rig up and did our boil and made our wort, put it in the carboy, and I was like, oh, we should cool this off faster, throw it in the sink with a bunch of ice. And as soon as we set the glass carboy that was like half full into a sink full of ice, it snapped clean in half.
Yeah,
right?
Because you're supposed to add cold water back into it first.
But you got to understand, we're fucking dumb. So like
inexperienced.
Yeah.
Because the logic was there, but you just made too quick of a move.
Yeah, because that the carboy cracked clean in half and spilled the wort all over the place, and it was a very fucking sad day. We had spent like 4 hours up until that point doing what we were doing.
Is what you're supposed to do if you're going to use ice in a sink like that?
Yeah.
You're supposed to set the carboy in there first.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, is what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to cool the wort down in the pot first. I think you get it back down to below 100 and something degrees.
Yeah, and you can build a cooling mechanism.
But I'm talking like all you got is a pot, right? And you got a carboy. Okay, so first you take it off the stove. It's done.
Yeah.
That is what you put in the sink with the ice.
Yeah.
And running water next to it. Right?
Yeah. Pull all that heat out.
Yep. You pull the heat out, and they sell apparatuses to speed this up. I'm talking all you got is a pot and a carboy.
Yeah.
First,
and
you
a
cool
bucket
that
of
down.
ice. Yeah.
And I gotta check it out because I can't remember what you're supposed to bring it down below, but I think you bring it down below 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And then you dump it into your carboy, and then you add more cold water to the carboy as well. And then you continue to let it cool before you even add in the yeast. Point being,
want some scotch?
No, I'm good, dude. Somebody didn't advise you guys to cool the wort down before you put it in the carboy.
Right. Yeah.
So
we had
that's
no
why I
fucking,
said it's not even an intelligence thing. It's just inexperience.
Yeah, we had
Nobody
no
warned you
fucking
about that.
clue. No fucking clue.
And just a lack of knowledge of
physics.
I
should have known because I've watched Mr. Wizard.
Right.
You know, that something could go wrong there.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. I actually am about to get back into it. I just bought a bunch of shit. It's actually sitting right behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You want to come over and fucking
make some beer? Sure. I'm down.
I got a bunch of different kits. We're gonna do a habanero pumpkin. We're gonna do a Serrano double chocolate milk stout.
Ooh.
And then I've got like another IPA, and I can't remember what else I got, but I got 4 different sets of ingredients that I'm gonna make.
Nice.
Yeah, and Kevin named it the other day the Alchemy Lab over there.
Nice.
There's like a kitchenette that's just full of boxes right now.
Yeah.
We're going to clean that out. I'm going to clean it out, clean it up. We're going to brew some beer over there.
Nice. Fuck yeah. I always wanted to get into distilling. I always thought...
Dude, you'll learn a lot brewing beer then because it's almost the exact same process.
Yeah, you just... Yeah. Like
the entire first half is identical.
Right.
It's just extracting the ethanol from the mash or the wort, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They vaporize it. That's really all they do is like they bring it into another stage and they vaporize the alcohol, which boils at a much lower temperature than water.
Right.
And then they capture it and then it just drips down and falls into things. But it's also extremely dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. That's what caused the old old-timey cartoons that had people drinking from a jug with 3 X's and going blind. Like
you can actually go I don't know if it's permanently blind, but you can absolutely 100% go temporarily blind from drinking poorly distilled ethanol.
Yeah.
So if it's like
because there's
that's what White Lightning was famous for, is because White Lightning and the purity of it was so strong, and they bragged about it, but it was actually very toxic. Like, once it gets to
the history of alcohol is super fascinating. You know, it's one of the how people have developed beers from ancient times.
Well, they think a lot of people argue it built all of society.
It did because it sanitized. It made
made water drinkable.
It made water drinkable.
That's number one. Number two, it's a calorie delivery system.
Yes, absolutely.
And because we're not talking about the beer we're drinking right now where it's 4 or 5% alcohol. We're talking alcohol that has been sanitized through brewing and fermenting through the alcohol, but there's 1% alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it gives you that little burn and that energy.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes you from a 9 to a 9.1.
Right, but that 0.1 is just enough,
right,
to build the pyramids.
Right. You ever see that that motivational poster?
No,
where
when they
it's
wanted
if you put in 1% every day, this is what you get after a year, and if you put in 1% if you're dragging 1%, this is where you're at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Now imagine that with beer.
Yeah.
And all the society.
No, for real though, because we pretty much know beer was invented before anything else through accident.
Yeah, elephants get drunk.
And then once we figured out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later, maybe even thousands of years later, once we figured out what the fuck was going on, then we made wine.
Yeah.
And then we made whiskey. Whiskey was one of the last things to be made, according to what I might be wrong on this.
Well, it's got to be one of the easiest things for us to have figured out, because we probably figured it out by accident when we were apes.
Beer.
Just like alcohol.
But beer specifically is alcohol, so you're still right. But beer is so simple and easy,
dude,
that
fruit's
it could have
even easier.
But it's also harder to control because it smells terrible. So they think that the first idea of beer, here's what they think happened, is they think a woman left out a thing of grains.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the rain, it rained on them. The sun came out. It fucking started to ferment and open up the starches. But then they were like, well, fuck, we're starving. We got to try to salvage this.
Throw it in a stew.
Maybe
cook it off.
Either that, or they were just like, fuck it, we'll just eat this paste.
Right.
And it got them a little buzzed. Or they fucking made some bread with it. And they were like, oh, this tastes really good. There's a number of ways, but they think that natural fermentation part right there was the first thing, because you're much more likely to walk up and eat slightly fermented bread.
Yeah.
That doesn't have mold or anything nasty on it, rather than a partially fermented piece of fruit. Right. So if you're talking just common sense, this is just what they believe.
Yeah. Like I'm just I have this image in my head of a YouTube video of a monkey eating apples under a tree and just acting like fucking
and the squirrels eat the pumpkins.
Just being all sorts of fucking drunk.
We see the squirrels eat the pumpkins, so you're still right.
We would I imagine someone at some point saw that happening and was like, whoa, I want some of that.
Yeah, you might be right. That might have been the first thing that happened, is they seen squirrels eating pumpkins and falling off of trees, and they were like, what the fuck? And maybe they picked up a pumpkin, or something that's like that, the equivalent of a pumpkin from 8,000 years ago.
Right, because you and me, we give whatever we put in our mouths pause, but we know what we eat. We know what we drink.
But other animals do that with the scent.
And people 20,000 years ago, give me a fucking break. There was no way we were sniffing every.
That's how I wonder that exact thought process is exact. I know exactly, and that not only do I know what you mean, but that's exactly what I think when I'm like, how did people figure out how they could eat mushrooms? Not even the ones that make you trip.
Yeah.
But any of the ones. How did people figure out way back in the day which ones would kill you, which ones would feed you, and which one would make you trip balls? And then same thing, like
it's easy. You just find out really quick with each one.
But you know what I mean? I think about this, like who is desperate enough to open up a cactus and realize, wait a minute, there's fucking water in here, dude. I can drink this.
So what you're talking about right there is what's the name for it? Oh my god.
I don't know. You're telling me, bud. You're talking to somebody who's 1 point past caveman.
Okay, that's a good spot to start then, actually. Because a caveman, as soon as people develop the ability to speak effectively and communicate,
exchange ideas,
and really like once we get into like the Chomskyan ability to communicate and develop grammar from infancy and speak to each other, things like that, like how to peel open a cactus and eat the inside of it, which mushrooms to eat, which ones not to eat, how long to leave the bread out so you can eat it and get fucked up kind of shit.
Right.
It's not until language develops that these things start to get passed down in at least
sure.
Here's
the
ear.
Best example. Here's the best example.
People
is
would learn by example,
shit.
like as they, say again?
The puffer fish shit, right? Where like if this fish is cut wrong, it will kill you.
Right. Lionfish too.
You can eat this part of it and it'll temporarily paralyze you. But if you eat this part,
you're dead.
It's fine.
Oh yeah, right.
And you can just like eat as much as you want.
Right, like in Florida, they're like the lionfish is like that. You got to know how to fucking fillet it correctly.
Right, exactly.
And they're invasive, so take all the fucking lionfish you can out of the water.
But it blows my mind. Yeah, it blows my mind that somebody died from it. Right, so you would think like whether it's the first person who tried the lionfish or the 30th person who tried it, once somebody dies from it,
it changes
people are going, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Right.
That kind of imagination goes, okay, the first guy died from it, but I'm going to try it again.
Which makes me wonder how the Jews came across a lobster in the desert and had to put it in their book.
The fuck are you talking about?
Like,
there clearly was a sea there.
Yeah, right. So if they found a lobster in the desert, would you eat a lobster you found in the desert?
I mean, what is a lobster in the desert? A scorpion?
No, like a literal lobster.
Maybe it's just a bigger scorpion that looks identical to a lobster.
They're from the same family in the tree.
My whole thing is in the Bible. All that shit's mistranslations in my mind.
But I'm just saying, like, as far as like a codified thing, like even that's a great example.
So did they eat it?
No, because if you found a lobster in the middle of the desert, it's probably fucking rancid. Don't fucking eat it. That's where a lot like it's how societies form. We like, hey, maybe killing people isn't a good idea. Maybe killing your neighbor isn't a good thing because then we get then more people have to die because of that.
Sure,
that's a bad thing. It didn't take Moses and the Ten Commandments for people to know that killing each other was a bad thing.
Well, clearly they did. Because that's like the second or third rule.
But I mean, maybe we still haven't figured that one out because of the
clearly we haven't.
It's Oh God, 2020 just fucking stop.
It's just a wild ride this year, dude.
It has been so. I saw this really great design
and one by one
on Reddit earlier today. It was year so distinctive it needs its own logo, and it's just the numbers 2020, but the 2 is small, the 0 is tall, the second 2 is a little bit taller, and then the other 0 is small, so it looks like it's flipping you off. And
nice.
Like, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that yeah. Dude,
I'm just so fucking tired. I haven't been on Facebook in fucking weeks now.
You can't go on there anymore. Now I go on just to check some shit. Like I'll read through a few things, and as soon as I see something, I'm like, all right, that's enough for today. Like, and I bounce. Like, I haven't even been able to promote the podcasts because just getting on there and getting into the groups I need to get in, and like you just stumble across, you accidentally see shit, and it's just. But dude, the biggest thing I notice about this year in the chaos is one by one, issue by issue, different people are dropping like flies, meaning they're getting desensitized, and they're going, all right, I'm done. I've checked out now.
Yeah.
Like, for one guy, it might be the election shit.
Yeah.
For another guy, it's the mask shit. For another guy, it's just the entire idea of social distancing. For another guy, it's the fact
BLM. For another,
sure, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
It could be
exactly. It really doesn't matter. And I'm not actually like trying to pick on anyone.
That's not to denigrate any of those positions.
Exactly.
But
thank you. That's exactly what I'm saying. People are just one by one. They're just getting desensitized. Like, nothing happens. You're not. Almost nothing could happen by the end of this year where most people are going to be surprised or even give a fuck now.
Dude,
like,
that's
major
what scares
shit's
me.
going to go down.
Yeah.
And people are going to be like, yeah, 2020.
As long as I can still...
The Chinese could invade. And people will be like, 2020, what are you going to do?
Dude, it's wild. It's absolutely fucking wild.
But in partially though, glass half full.
Yeah.
Full optimist.
Yeah.
People are realizing you can only control what you can control.
Exactly.
So only focus on what you can control. Because if you focus on that madness, you will lose your fucking mind.
Right. And like, no one wants it to get to a point where like a quarter to half of the country is worried about, the big three: food, shelter, and water. But if things go really fucking haywire, we could have serious refugee crises within the United States.
You forgot heat and fire, but it still stands to reckon. Like,
right.
We have ways to cook food.
Yeah.
Well, and I wasn't even thinking, like, you're right though. I wasn't even thinking heat as in survival. I was thinking heat as in like cook food. Right. So I have a microwave or a gas stove. Right.
Yeah.
Like, we have electricity, so heat, a way to cook food. We have shelter. We have water.
Right.
And what was the other one you mentioned?
Yeah, food, shelter, water. Yeah,
food, shelter, water.
Yeah,
and a way to
those
cook
are the big things.
And a way to cook it and stay warm.
Right, but big things. But if we have breakdowns,
we just joked before, it's the end of the world, right? We're like, everybody's like, dude, it's all coming to an end now, and we still have those four. So my point is, when one of those four.
Right,
dude.
No, and it's already starting. It's already starting to happen in pockets.
Point. It's your point. I was just It's your point. I was amending it and adding to it because I think you're 100% correct. Like, we don't really have any real problems yet. You getting distracted there, bud?
Sorry,
you gotta go.
No, I don't gotta go. My girl's just letting me know what she's up to because she's awesome.
Is it important?
I mean, yes, because it's my girl. But what she's doing, I mean, it's not like going to derail what we're doing. No.
In normal situations, I would be irritated, but you did bail me out tonight last minute.
I'm your boy, so I mean, come on. Well, what was I saying? Damn it.
We were talking about you were talking about we still have the three or four major resources that we need, and I just amended and said real quick, and people are still freaking out.
Right.
If one of those things drops,
because things are happening, because things don't happen as quickly as we think they do, there's still people getting evicted because they're unemployed from government shutdowns. Kind of shit is still going on. Like, that's still a thing that's happening. It's not super widespread, but if you told me that no one's been evicted due to COVID, I'd call you a fucking liar to your face.
Well, here's the thing: is I can only comment up to July 1st.
Yeah,
but I can give you a detail on this. Eviction proceedings never stopped. They were just not allowed to be actioned until July 1st.
Okay, yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even when that is extended, the eviction proceedings are still happening.
Right.
But where there's laws,
because
they're not allowed to act on them. But here's the point, is the proceeding and the judge's order is already in place.
Yeah.
Therefore, the moment that day becomes... So, like, on July 1st, a ton of people were literally forcibly removed from their homes at the hand of a sheriff per court order because the law was over.
Right. The moratorium was lifted.
Right.
Yeah.
And Trump did enact another one as part of his executive order, but as soon as that executive order is lifted,
yeah,
those people are gone.
Well, and like
because the proceedings don't stop.
Right.
It's the action of the eviction. Here's something
that's
Kate read today. Let me tell you this. Because I want to know. I don't know. I'm getting this information firsthand, but not something I read and verified, because we can't seem to find verification on this.
Okay.
But almost everyone we know that has government assistance, like Section 8 or any of that shit, kind of, we live in a poor neighborhood. You know? It's actually not even that poor anymore, but there's still a lot of low income housing, and we're friends with all the neighbors. So there's certain people that are like, yeah, I haven't gotten my Section 8 in 4 or 5 months.
Oh, wow.
So I want to know if they're lying or if it's true, because Kate just saw something that the reason those eviction proceedings are continuing is because these property owners, their tenants, a lot of them really, and there's like documents to show this. She read it in the paper, like in the fucking written newspaper,
right?
Like where some real journalism still exists.
Is one of the better newspapers in the country.
And I'm not going to put the number on it, but it was something like 32% of renters have stopped paying their rent altogether.
Yeah,
and a lot of those are people on assistance. So it begs the question: does that mean? That's got to mean, because my vague memory of it from my parents owning rental property is that the government, Section 8, does not send you the tenant money for you to pay your rent. They send
it to the landlord.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if the landlord is going, these people aren't paying their rent, is he saying they're not paying that extra little $150 to $400 on their $800 to $1,500 apartment? Because it varies, right?
Yeah.
Or is he saying the government isn't paying and they're not paying? Like, what does that mean when they say people on assistance aren't paying their rent? Because if you're evicting somebody because they're 3 months behind on their $150,
all you need to know is that those scumbags in the projects aren't paying their rent.
But hear me out.
But that's
what is
a message?
Is that
know what I mean?
But here's my point: if it's just the guy not paying his $150 a month in rent, that's pretty fucked up, because you can probably still pay your property taxes and do shit, right?
Yeah.
However, if it's the government not paying his $800 a month in rent,
right,
and he's still paying his $150, whose fault really is it?
Right. And are you still saying that these people aren't paying their rent?
Because when he can't pay his $800, or when the government's not paying their $800, now that guy a month. Now that guy can't pay his property taxes, because rental property taxes are dramatically larger than homeowner property taxes.
I believe it.
But most people don't even understand this, Dalton. If this house were a rental property, and I'm not exaggerating this, my property taxes would literally be more than triple.
I believe it.
More than triple. And the more the desirable the neighborhood goes up, the higher that percentage goes up.
Right.
So it could become quadruple, quintuple. Like, it could become so exaggeratedly large, because who knows, someday I could get $4,000 a month for renting this house out.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So they go, oh, well, $4,000 a month. Well, then you need to pay $12,000 a year in property taxes. Well, there's 25% of my $4,000 is just property taxes. Plus, you still got a mortgage. Plus, you still got all the other bills and shit that come with it, right?
Right.
So now you're down to
yada, yada,
so you think, oh,
you better be itemizing, young man. Better be itemizing.
I'm good. I'm still in $2,000 a month profit, right? Until not just the Section 8 people, but I've seen a documentary about this, about how rich people in New York are just using this as an excuse to not pay their rent.
Right.
They're going and renting places outside of the city and then going, well, COVID shut down, you can't evict me, I can't pay my rent. And they're just living there for free. Now I can't pay my property taxes because I have $1,000 a month plus all these other bills. You're not paying any of it.
Right.
So now not only am I not making $2,000 a month, it's actually costing me money. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it can quickly snowball the other way.
Right.
So we got to be very careful about how we vilify these landlords,
right?
When they're saying,
and full disclosure,
and I'm not saying you're vilifying them.
No,
I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm not putting you in a box.
No, yeah, no. Yeah, but there are definitely slumlords out there. And I've been fortunate in my life to
but
not
even
have
a slumlord,
to deal with anything like that.
But again,
man,
even a slumlord has to pay his property taxes, or the government will come in and condemn the property. They don't take it and keep renting it out.
Right.
They take it and kick everyone out. Now everyone loses their home, right?
Right.
So if the government, here's the fucked up part. Here's what I'm getting at. The government doesn't kick out Section 8 money. You can't pay your property taxes. Then the government comes in and takes your property and kicks out all your tenants. Now the government owns more property and more people are out of a business. Maybe you're not a slumlord, but maybe you just don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're trying
and
to
even
keep your
then,
shit affordable.
that property's not going to stay in the government for very long because someone's connected to someone who owns a realty company.
Thank you.
You know, like this is just how this works.
Right.
It's just like greatest country on the planet.
Well, but either way, the government cannot run housing.
Right.
No government has ever been able to successfully run housing.
Dude,
you need micromanagement when it comes to housing. Like you need somebody on the premises who has the ability to make on-the-fly budget decisions. Oh, there's a leaky pipe. I need to run to Menards right now, buy a $8 part, buzz back out there, and I'll have it fixed in 15 minutes. It's a total 3-hour deal because of the traveling and everything else, and it'll cost me $18 in parts and fucking $45 in labor to bill myself.
Right.
When the government gets involved, somebody has to call, somebody has to send out an inspector, somebody has to get the repair approved per code, then somebody needs to turn around and order the part, then that part needs to be double billed.
Gets done at the speed of government.
Then all of a sudden they say it's an $800 hammer we need, and you know what I mean? It's just and then all of a sudden it's like 3 months later they finally get the pipe fixed, but now there's $8,000 worth of wood damage. Nope. So they notice that. Let's fix that. But that same process takes.
Right.
So it's just like fuck off, man. You know, it's like housing is better in private hands.
Yeah, you're this pissed about it, and you weren't even in government work.
Or
dude, you have no idea.
I don't even own rental property, but I have friends and family that do, including my parents, and I've seen all of this.
Right.
Like I've seen my parents get seduced by the idea of taking that Section 8 government money because it's guaranteed. Right. But then being held to higher standards per Section 8 code versus rental code. So they would have to literally repaint the entire apartment after every single tenant, regardless of whether they lived there for a month and trashed the place, or a month and they took perfect care. Or there was one person who took the lease, right, signed the lease, never actually moved in.
Right.
My parents got one check from Section 8. And the guy ended up going to jail. So no furniture was ever moved in.
Right.
And the inspector still made them paint the entire unit because it was a new tenant, and that's how it works.
Right.
They're not willing to make those nuanced decisions that make common sense.
But the problem you run into is when the letter of the law isn't followed
to a T.
Right, is the liabilities that ensue following that.
And then it's up for interpretation and discretion, and then all of a sudden you can get into bribes and fucking corruption.
What's fucked up is how the Navy in particular privatized their on-base housing. Like, so
did it get gross?
Dude, like if you Google,
because it's different when we're talking about housing government citizens, like in employees, like that's different.
But here's the thing: is like they give these people they're private citizens working for a private company. They get access to the base to like run a rental office for sailors that live on bases, right?
Wait, what? Explain that again.
So like.
I heard every word, but goddamn, that was confusing. Okay, so I'm a private citizen.
You're a private citizen. You work on the Navy base. You work at
because I own a company, or because the Navy hired me.
Because the Navy hired Corporate Housing LLC to run the on-base housing.
I'm like a management company.
Yeah, a property management company that runs all these.
Okay.
On-base houses. They're ticky-tacky like box houses. They're all identical. They've all got the same garage. And
I know.
And
I know.
Like, mirrored and stuff. Until you get up into like the upper ranks, like the officer ranks, and then they turn into like nicer houses and shit like that because classism is.
Well, they can afford it.
You know, yeah, because they're getting paid to be able to afford it, right?
Right.
But
military does.
Long
pay
story
very
longer.
Well if you make it up
by
high
privatizing that, the incentive isn't to make sailors comfortable at home. It is to take their entire housing allowance and make as much profit off of it as possible. And the housing allowance in somewhere like Key West is like $3,000 a month, and they are just notorious.
This is the $800 hammer thing again.
Yeah, well,
because they know the money's coming from the government.
Right.
As long as they uniformly make the entire area cost X, the government will pay for it. Right. Whereas you could probably get, if that company
it turns into like a company town kind of thing.
This is like that's exactly what I'm saying. So it's like, again, when the government fucking installs a toilet and they're getting charged $350 for a $30 toilet seat at Menards. And that's not including labor.
Dude, the government rate at hotels is higher.
Right. Because they know
because the money's there.
Right.
They're gonna get paid.
Right. Whereas you take that out
and all that shit.
So on a military level, you take that out, you create government housing, military housing, like almost like it's back on base again, old school style.
Right.
And suddenly you can create like quality minimal living conditions. I like it better if you go down and come up personally. But
this feels more out of the way, like it's not blocking my sight line.
Yeah, it's up to you. Whatever you want to get comfortable.
Feels good like this. But like if you Google Navy like on base housing settlement,
here's the only here's the only way you get out of this though. This situation, this problem, right? You either go full military controlled housing again, just like it used to be. So the government, the military will create minimal standards.
Make private single family homes subject to inspection. Oh my god!
No,
you've got water in your sink.
I'm talking old school military fucking housing.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
It's minimal. It's not flashy, but you also now don't need a budget for it.
Yeah, but you also don't understand how annoying room inspections can be.
So you don't do it at somebody's private home.
No,
like
I know.
But
like the thought crossed my mind, like
right. No, I'm not talking that. But I'm talking like zero budget.
Yeah.
Right? Like it would be much cheaper for the military to employ its own soldiers to be handymen and electricians, and because they already have them.
Yeah, they're called the CBs. They're part of the construction battalions.
It's going to be cheaper to employ your own dudes to manage that, and not even manage, but work on and keep and maintain.
Yeah,
right?
You'd think.
And then owning the property and paying the property taxes is going to be cheaper. Okay, even if you're not charging your soldiers rent, it's still going to be cheaper.
You know what?
All of that involved.
You know what?
Paying a private company to do it, because here's the point: when you give that private company the monopoly to do it, they are able to justify any cost plus profit at the government expense.
See, so here's the thing.
You see what I'm saying, though?
You're seeing a glass half full opportunity here, but you're only looking at half of the glass too, because what the Navy really should
like it's
do
half full, but I'm only seeing half the glass.
Yeah. Because there's a lot more to be filled here.
It's half full, but I'm only seeing half the glass.
Right, and let me show you the other half, because part of one of the biggest issues amongst the active duty and veteran and just military community in general is the transition to civilian life and civilian accreditation. Like, I've got 60 Spanish credits and an associate's degree, but I've got the only associate's degree that the Department of Defense releases. It's the only one.
Interesting.
Like, they're friends of mine. You know, you can.
So what does this mean?
Like, a friend of mine, like if you're an HM in the Navy, if you're a hospital corpsman, you can spend the last 20 years in Afghanistan putting people back together, and we'll have
trouble. What's an HM?
Hospital corpsman. So in the Navy, we don't necessarily call each other by our rank. We call each other by our rate, and our rate is our job. So I was CTI, which stands for Cryptologic Technician Interpretive. So I was CTI 1 Lightkeeper, and that was my name at work. So an HM is a medic, and they deploy with Marines, and they put people back together in the battlefield kind of shit. And so you can spend 20 years in Afghanistan doing that and come home and not be qualified to work in the back of an ambulance.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Okay.
So
whereas your
what
degree was something you could apply.
mine's like an actual associate's degree.
Okay, this makes
but
way more sense.
And you know, it's a 2-year degree, and I got it in 8 months. But cool, you know, nice. And the particular issue with housing, and specifically base housing, could be remedied by Seabees on their shore duty rotation, because you have to do you do like a deployment, and then you do a tour on like a 3-year stint on shore, and then you do like a 3-year tour to sea, and then maybe if you're feeling feisty, you do another 3-year tour at sea where you're going on like 6-month deployments, year-long deployments kind of thing. But there's always a reason to bring people back and let them be people here in the United States.
Right.
You know, whether that be recruiting duty or working like the ships in dock for a while kind of thing.
There you go.
And so when I was working down in Key West, and I was working with the CDs,
I knew I wasn't fucking crazy.
We would do some of those sorts of things, but because the on-base housing was privatized, we couldn't do shit about the black mold all over the fucking base. They were still charging people $3,000 a month to live there.
Right.
And in Key West in particular, it's exorbitantly expensive to live out in town anyway.
It's generally expensive regardless.
There's just high demand to be there because it's nice, and very low supply of literal.
See, and that's why I still get pissed at. I still get pissed at Republicans still to this day about this, because they claim they're small government, they claim they're anti-spending.
Yeah, it's a great line.
But it's like, y'all didn't fucking audit the military spending once, because you think all that money is being spent on bombs. Like, they probably have no idea what we're talking about.
No.
Senators and representatives and even the presidents that have been Republican probably aren't even aware that this is what's actually going on with our money.
I can't even believe you would even begin to entertain the thought of not supporting the troops. You fucking.
I support the troops. I support the troops. You're not getting me on that.
No, I know, but you know what I'm saying when I say that is like it's impossible to take a contrary position to something like that because of the way it's framed.
And one could argue,
and they do.
But I'm saying one could argue, if executed properly, this could actually increase the housing quality of troops if executed properly.
Because these would be people that, you know, they'd see on base at the gas station, and you know, like, they're part of the same community anyway. You know,
right?
It's gonna,
Because the entire idea of privatizing something is to open up competition to the private market.
In theory, yeah.
Right, because they're going to be able to do it better for cheaper and still make
right.
a profit.
Someone's going to say they're going to be able to do it for X amount of dollars. Right. Someone else is going to say,
but when you do that
cheaper,
exactly. But when you do that exclusively, they have no incentive to compete. They have no competition at all.
The only incentive that there is to have the price be the lowest possible.
The cost be the lowest possible.
Right. So like when veterans watch like GMC truck commercials and they hear the term military grade suspension, and then we're like, great, so it went to the lowest bidder. That's fucking awesome. Like,
but our government doesn't do everything on the cheap. That's the problem. That's where the $800 hammer thing comes in. The $350 toilet seat, because they don't do everything on the cheap. They just split the bill.
It's a combination of the two. You know,
you remember no bid contracts? You know, I'm not making this up.
No, I know.
I'm not talking on my fucking left side of my mouth.
But for people like me who have to buy like boots and uniforms and shit, like, it's always like, why do we have to keep revamping the uniform every fucking 6 years? You know, like, what general is getting, or what admiral is getting another star on their shoulder for redesigning the uniform? And now,
you think it's really that petty?
On some level, I guarantee.
I think they're just.
I guarantee it.
Because
there's like if there's a functional uniform, the Navy's already notorious for having too many.
But what if there's just like, what if it's because here's how I think of it, right? Like, okay, there's one slight advantage to this uniform, but that's what we do, is even if it's the slightest advantage, we take it.
Yeah.
This one breathes a little better, which increases stamina,
that's not how it ends up happening though. Like, it's never, like, every once in a while they'll loosen a rule where, like, okay, we're adding this unit. Like, when I was in the Navy, we added like the green camo that I would wear to work.
Sure.
That wasn't a uniform when I joined the Navy that I was allowed to wear.
Was it all blue and white?
Yeah, it was the blue camouflage.
The blue, white, and black.
Yeah, like the blue and white and shades of blue and gray and shit like that. So like,
which would make sense because you're on water or near water.
Right, but if you fall off a ship, you don't want to look like water. You know, you want to be fucking seen. Isn't that? Here's the thing, though. Isn't that always the conundrum with camouflage? Right. Well, yeah, but like
think about it. If you're in one of those, what do they call?
But if you're on a call
it, a ghillie suit?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you're a sniper, right? You're in a ghillie
that's
suit.
The point for that. But
right.
like, if you fall off a ship, you need to
but
be
here's what
fucking
I'm saying.
seen
Until
in
you
the water.
Until you get shot and ambushed, right?
Yeah.
And you can't even move. Right, so you can't even take the fucking ghillie suit off, but they also didn't find you because of the ghillie suit,
right?
And fucking your helicopter comes to look for you, and they're like, "We can't find him,
right?
We can't." Like, and you're just laying there. You're like, "I see you, but I can't raise my arm."
We have this uniform called the Navy Service.
Isn't that
uniform.
always the conundrum of camouflage, though?
Kinda, yeah. There's always a give and take there for sure. But we have this.
Hold on, let's finish this thought though, because what's the benefit of green and white camouflage on a ship? There is none.
None whatsoever.
You literally stick out now.
Right.
So the only thing that would make sense is because certain Navy soldiers go on land now.
Well, right. But
like the SEALs and shit, right?
Yeah. But even them, like those guys aren't operating within the confines of normal
so my point is what's even the bonus of adding that uniform? Why does that even help? Or is it just making soldiers' lives easier because it's more common?
Your confusion absolutely qualifies you to be a member
in the Navy.
to be a member of these United States Armed Forces. Like, why the fuck is this happening? I know this starts at 7, but I'm here at 4:45. What the fuck is happening?
Right.
Like when I did the Trump inauguration thing, like we had to be in a parking lot at 1:30 in the morning for an event that was happening at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Wait, so what do you mean you did the Trump inauguration thing?
Like whenever there's a presidential inauguration,
so you were working in Baltimore at the time?
Yeah, I was living in Baltimore. I was working at Fort Meade, which is halfway between Baltimore and DC.
So you're like the de facto base then. You're probably the closest base.
Yeah, we're the closest base. We've got a couple thousand sailors there, and then like a couple thousand soldiers, a couple thousand airmen.
Hold on.
Fort Meade is a big base.
Let's press pause on this for a second because I just want to clear up some confusion on my part because I've been drinking this bloody. I've had a couple beers.
Right, I've had a beer and
some whiskey.
I'm feeling fresh.
Let's just clarify something real quick here. They're Air Force bases, they're Army forts, they're naval bases, but they all have their own names. So, like for example, in North Carolina, I believe it's Fort Hood.
No, Fort Hood is in Texas.
No, it's
Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg. That's the shittiest one because he's the.
I don't know. Fort Hood's pretty shitty too.
I mean like the shittiest name because.
That
General Bragg is the word. I don't know if you heard me talk about that on the podcast.
Bragg and Hood are both pretty fucking.
He's wild, but General Bragg is wildly considered to be the worst general in American history.
Right.
In fact, he is widely considered by historians and military strategists to be, if you were going to nail it down to simple conclusions, single-handedly responsible for the South losing the Civil War.
Take that.
So it's very ironic that Trump would defend that name when he turns around and says he prefers his war heroes uncaptured. And you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, right.
So I found it highly ironic because my wife is from that area.
Right.
So
you told me this. Yeah.
Dude,
so
here's the thing: is like we should definitely change the name of that base. Like, because his justification was
there's nothing to brag about.
Exactly, and his justification
as a stupid play on words.
But here's his justification: play on words. We won 2 world wars out of that base. Okay, so rename it Fort Patton.
Right.
The guy who won the Second World War almost single-handedly, right? So General Bragg,
Hitler's dead has a certain ring to it.
But hear me out. Let's joke about this for 1 second.
Yeah, keep going. I gotta piss.
So you got Fort Bragg, General Bragg, arguably single-handedly responsible for losing the Civil War, and then you arguably have General George Patton, It's George Patton, right? George S. Patton, I believe. Why do I want to say George S.S. Patton? I think it's just George S. Patton. Either way, I'm pretty sure it's George Patton. General Patton, either way. Arguably single-handedly responsible for winning World War II. Arguably. Not asking everyone to agree with this. If you're gonna fucking talk about this, Trump, rename the fucking base Fort Patton. And I'm waiting for Dalton to get back here now because I remember where I started with this. Because it's Fort Bragg, and then the Air Force Base is named something else. Because then there's like Fort Hood and Dulles Air Force Base. Or Dulles Air Force Base. I think it's Dulles, right? Or is it Dulles Airport? See, I'm fucking confused. This is where I need a producer. I'm just going to look it up. This is where I need a producer so I have someone to talk to. In these moments right here. Let's see if we can figure this out while he's gone. Because seriously, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so what is the Air Force base down at Fort Bragg? You don't remember?
Fort Bragg.
No, it's Fort Bragg, and because there's always an Air Force base or a naval base near or connected to the Fort Bragg.
Not necessarily. A lot of times there are, but it's absolutely not a requirement. What? It's in Raleigh, right?
Yeah, it's Fort Bragg.
Army Airfield. I mean, there's yeah. So there's probably
I think it's Pope.
Yeah. Scroll up just a touch there. Pope Field. So Pope Field is
Air Force Base right here. Pope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yep.
Right.
Yeah. So is what I'm getting at.
San Antonio is very similar in that there's Lackland Air Force Base, there's Randall Airfield, there's the Medina Annex, there's Fort Sam Houston, which is an Army base, there's Nyack, Texas, which is a naval, but very small naval station in a landlocked.
That's what they call them.
them.
Do they call them naval bases or naval stations?
Stations.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
a lot of time it's like Naval Station Key West, naval. Yeah, God, now I can't remember.
Because I feel like we call them naval bases, but they're
bases.
But I've always thought that's not the right word because, like Army, we call them Army bases.
Yeah.
Right, but they're forts.
Right, but a fort is a base of operations.
I get that. So we're getting into semantics now. I'm talking about the names.
Right.
Like, we've always called them naval bases, but I always felt like, and I think you're right, I think it's stations. I think the official name for. So here's what I'm asking to follow up where you had to go pee. So it's Fort Bragg and Pope Air Force Base.
Yeah.
In North Carolina. In D.C., you were stationed at what base?
I was at Fort Meade.
Fort Meade, and what is the Air Force Base there?
Andrews. Andrews is the one in D.C.
And is there... Oh, that's in D.C., though.
Yeah.
Is there a naval base attached to Fort Meade? Because I'm wondering why the fuck a Navy guy is stationed at Fort Meade.
Because there's a large naval intelligence presence there.
So it's not about the fact that there's a naval base.
It's about
that's
those
where
bodies.
Your naval intelligence is based.
Well, I mean, naval intelligence is based out of the Pentagon, but a lot of people don't realize this, but the NSA isn't just the NSA, it's also the NSA/CSS. And CSS,
which is
the Central Security Service, which is the military aspect of the same operations.
Got it.
So, like, the NSA isn't just the NSA in those offices. It's not a bunch
technically, the NSA isn't military.
Correct. It's still. I think it's still falls.
The CSS
yeah,
would
it
be.
falls under. Yeah, they're
all under DoD.
They're all under DoD, but like the CSS is the military chain of command for operations
version of NSA
within under the auspices of the National Security Agency, Central Security Service.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah, so
that makes perfect sense.
Like, and this kind of comes back to what we were talking about earlier with like a first and a second from opposite parties. The director of the NSA is always like a 4-star general or admiral, right? So when I was working there, it was Keith Alexander and Mike Rogers, Admiral Mike Rogers.
Gotcha.
Who I met a couple of times and was actually like incredibly pleasant. Where was I going with this? Fuck.
I didn't even interrupt you that time.
No, I just lost the train of thought. There was an entire train. But let me go back to where I was earlier with that Trump inauguration thing.
Yeah, because that's where this started. Because I was asking, that's what I was getting at. So,
like, as I was taking a piss, I was like, "Don't forget to talk about that."
Well, and that's where I was starting with this, because I'm wondering if you're in Baltimore and you're in the Navy, based on an Army base in an intelligence operation, why the fuck are you doing anything regarding the presidential inauguration?
Because sometimes they just need bodies.
Okay, and you're close,
and I'm close.
Because what is it? 45 minutes to DC?
Yeah, something like that.
Or 90 minutes? It's like here to Chicago, or not even.
Not here to Chicago,
sorry,
but like from here to St. Like Woodbury.
That close. I don't think most people
not that close, but
like, I don't think most people realize how
not
close
as far as
Baltimore is to DC.
Yeah, it's like from here to St. Cloud. But from here to St. Cloud, if you have been stuck in Maple Grove trying to merge onto 94 from 494 or 694, you know.
Yeah, so about 90 minutes.
Yeah, about like not even, like about an hour. You know what I mean? So for every presidential inauguration, the president gets sworn in on at the Capitol, and then there's a motorcade from the Capitol building back to the White House. And it's always like a parade of like a bunch of Trump or that president's supporters, high school marching bands from around the country. It's a big American day because there's
whether you voted for this guy, whether you like him or not,
he's
part
the president
of your
now.
Duty.
It's part of your duty. So here's the
and you got to stand up, and next election you all got to put dildos in your mouth.
Dude, you are so close. Just a little bit more and then spank me. Because what happened was they put out an email.
If Hillary would have won, you all would have had to wear vagina hats.
They put out an email to the entire command. We need bodies for the inauguration. It looks to be a historic inauguration this year. We need volunteers to stand the corridor, because as the president.
Why was it historic?
Because it's
He's
either
a civilian?
it's either going to be Trump or it's going to be Hillary, and it's going to be historic either way.
Oh, gotcha.
You know?
So it's either the first person with zero experience or the first person who's a woman.
Right. It's either going to be our first reality TV.
So they're
star.
not even putting political ramifications
right, and it's before the election. They
put out. That's why I asked.
They put out this call.
Okay.
And like they had to turn people away, and then.
Until they found out who it was.
And then I go into work the day after Election Day, and there's an email in my inbox saying, if you volunteered for the inauguration, you have committed and you cannot pull out.
No shit.
Yeah. No shit. Like, you committed to this. You will see it through. Godspeed.
Do you know how many Hillary supporters were there?
I've got a.
That's why there was so many pictures of fucking servicemen and women with like shitty looks on their face in the background.
Dude, it was
of that
also
inauguration.
fucking terrible. The weather was terrible that day.
But there was, I guarantee you, there was so many. Because dude, here's the thing: is regardless of whether I'm a Trump supporter, which I'm not, and I'm very happy to say that I voted for Gary Johnson with pride. Looking back, I still feel like
you can't say that. You're not gay. You don't have pride. Oh, too far? Did I find the line?
I got native pride.
All right.
I got Native American pride.
You do have native pride.
All right, I got enough Native American in me to claim pride on that. I was going to go Jewish, but that's a little wrong to do right now.
We found it. You
can't say Jewish pride right now. You can't say white pride. You can't say Jewish pride. You can't say male pride. You can't say American pride. You can't say, and definitely not fucking.
Dude, pride is one of the 7 deadly
pride.
sins. You probably shouldn't be proud of anything. Be humble. Kanye West.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. The guy who literally said, I'm the new Jesus.
Yeah.
Eat my own ass.
So
right, no.
let me keep going on this inauguration day thing.
But hold on,
This is the common thread.
Thought
So
Hillary was going to win.
We did.
Anyone with a brain thought Hillary was going to win.
All the projections,
so
but
what does that realistically put 90% of those people on that inauguration? Whoever volunteered, 90% of them plus were convinced it was going to be Hillary.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the demographics of the military skew a little differently than the general populace. So political opinions are going to be a little bit more.
But whether you voted that way, it's who you really thought was going to win.
Probably.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
90% of the people that volunteered
that decision was informed by those statistics at the time. Absolutely.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Great point. So we have to meet at like 1:30 at Fort Meade to pile on.
Do you want another beer, by the way?
Yeah, I could do another beer.
Okay, beer.
We meet at like 1:30 in the morning to do like a roll call and make sure everyone's there. And then at 2:30, we get on the buses and do another roll call to make sure everyone got on the buses, even though you can look around out in the parking lot at 1:30 in the morning on base and see that there is no one else fucking out there. And then we take the 45-minute to an hour-long bus ride down to D.C., where like half of this fucking thing is like sitting on a bus waiting to get somewhere. And then when we finally get somewhere at like 5, it takes us until 5 o'clock to get off the bus. And I'm remembering this poorly. So like if someone looks up the timeline for this operation through a Freedom of Information request, I'm fucking sorry.
We're not holding you to you're not writing the 10 Commandments here, bro.
No, definitely not.
This is like, being written in pencil. We can erase some of this.
Right. So because of what we're doing, there's not going to be anyone between us and the president. Like it'll be like
except Secret Service.
Right. There will be there's always Secret Service in the immediate vicinity of the president in a situation like that. Yeah.
In any situation nowadays, but yeah.
But it's essentially like civilians and then a barricade, cops, another barricade, and then us, and then
basically the president,
and
then a couple Secret Service dickheads that
and like all the marching bands and all that shit. So we got a really great view for the parade, but it was
to put it into context, there's no one in between you and the president, except for a random Secret Service agent maybe jogging next to him,
and he's got his eyes not looking at you because you're a member of the military and you're not going to fucking kill the president. Unless you make a furtive movement, which will stand out because you're not supposed to be moving at all.
Because you're a soldier.
Right. You're standing at attention or at parade rest and
got it.
Like you're doing your thing.
Got it.
And yeah, so it essentially we stood out in like a 35-degree drizzle for like 4 hours. Like,
and are you facing the president or facing away from the president?
Like we're standing on the street like 8 feet from the sidewalk. Standing in the middle of the street.
But are you facing the street or are you facing away from the street?
We're facing the street. So like like on the other side of the street,
and
there's someone
like
staring.
Saluting?
No, we're either standing at attention, like straight up, or at parade rest with our hands behind our back like this. Okay. And if we're going to be waiting for a while, they'll put us at ease and we can like.
Are you on both sides of the street as the motor?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Because all 5 branches of the military. And when I say that, I graciously include the Coast Guard.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Space Force.
No,
which is my favorite.
No,
branch of the military.
They weren't there. They were just a twinkle in the president's eye at the time.
Which I was the first one to add Space Force to Wikipedia, by the way. I have the pictures to prove it. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do. You're a legend.
So I literally went to Wikipedia and took a snapshot of the screen, and then on my shitty picture wrote Space Force and then just drew an arrow. And like it got a few likes on my Instagram, just a few, but it gave me just enough to be like, you know what? Fuck it. So
I'm starting a podcast.
So no. But I went in and I actually edited the page and like found the line of HTML code
and
put it in to fucking say Space Force, and then right below it said in parentheses coming soon, and it stayed up there for like 2-3 days.
Nice.
I took a
That's a long
snapshot
time.
of it.
That's pretty good.
I took a snapshot of it, and then it immediately got pulled down right as soon as fucking they noticed it. And like within 3 months, they put it back up officially, and it's like they should have just left my shit up because I wrote it in there when he was talking about it, and then I said fuck it and edited the page when it actually got announced.
Oh,
right. So it was like, dude, I'm not just making this up.
No, you're just ahead of the you're behind
dude.
the 8 ball on
and
it. Yeah,
they took it down still, even though it was announced. And then all of a sudden, like I don't know how many weeks later, but then it went up, and it's on Wikipedia right now. The United States Armed Services Branches Wikipedia page lists 6 of them now.
Oh
you said 5 because of the Coast Guard, which I forgot about. So when you said I'm going to
'Cause technically-
graciously list all 5,
technically,
I
Coast
thought you
Guard
were gonna put
is
his-
under the Department of Homeland Security and not a member of the Department of Defense.
no
So,
shit.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense, though.
Yeah.
That
Well, 'cause,
actually
I mean,
makes perfect sense.
yeah.
And here's the thing is, I heard those Coast Guard boys are
Yeah,
some of the most badass motherfuckers around.
Like we give them shit, but every member of the Coast Guard I've ever known or come across has been one fucking cool dude. Their boot camp is way harder than Navy boot camp, and they have to do like 6 months to a year, like pulling people out of like capsized boats in like the North Atlantic before they choose a job. What they're going to do in the Coast Guard, they gotta get in the fucking pits with it.
Thank you, because
that's fucking commendable.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Like,
I know.
We give them all shit, but
I know dudes who are Marines, including my family. I know dudes who are Army. I know a lot of people, and dudes who I really respect, and I mean really respect.
Yeah,
like when they bring that shit up, and the whole Air Force mockery comes
Air
out.
Force and like all the sluts in the Air Force are air mattresses and yada yada.
And then somebody inevitably brings up the Coast Guard, and they go, No, those Coast Guard dudes are actually like some of the toughest sons of bitches I ever met in my life.
Yeah,
like
because they're dealing with shit on a daily basis.
Yep.
Like they're dealing with shit on a daily basis that is far more stressful and far more demanding.
It's the least glamorous one I heard as well.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean,
because the Army's got the Rangers and the Green Berets, the Navy SEALs, the
Marine Corps, recon.
They've got recon and the other one.
And the Air Force has got
Strike Force.
Their parajumpers,
exactly,
kind of thing.
Exactly,
like
right?
everyone's got their own elite
force. The Air Force
has
pilots.
Yeah,
sexy.
Right.
But
the Air Force has pilots, but the Navy has aviators.
But the Coast Guard gets no glam, is what I'm saying.
Did you know that pilots
and
aviators
you know what
are
the Coast Guard
things?
is? You know what the Coast Guard is? I don't want to ignore what you said.
They guard the coast.
You know what the Coast Guard is?
That's what they do.
You know what the Coast Guard is? The Coast Guard
Bobcat Gold Plate.
The Coast Guard is the offensive and defensive line of the military. There's no glam in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's very much
they're defensive, right?
Very much.
They are very militarized, believe it or not. People think, they go save people when ships. No, the Coast Guard is very militarized.
They do quite a bit of counter narcotics interdiction.
Correct, and they are quite literally, our actual ground line defense for an actual invasion. They are the actual first line of defense.
Yeah, they're going to be the ones that are going to be there and ready to like shoot back at somebody.
Yep.
Whether they're shooting.
And the Army,
a 50 caliber at a God forbid an Iranian
and
cruiser
the Army
or something,
won't kick in until they make landfall. If the Coast Guard fails and the enemy makes landfall, that's when the Army kicks in.
We'd be so fucking screwed if there was like a land invasion at this moment.
Oh no!
Let me finish that statement. All right.
okay.
In the first, like at first. Okay, because I understand
they got 15 minutes, bro. They got 15 minutes.
They got 30 seconds for Billy Bob to rack him, and another 45 seconds for Bruce to take his out of the safe.
Dude,
you know what I mean.
But you know what though?
But like,
they also
for real, there would be an insurgency.
They got about
the American populace.
They got about
be
3 minutes before Leroy and the entire fucking crew shows up to fuck up a foreign invader.
Dude.
They get mad. They get mad when another crew steps on their turf and sells dime bags on the corner.
Right.
Dude, this is the thing I love the most about American gang culture.
Yeah. Is it does not fuck around?
I dare you to invade us.
Right.
Because the coast is where the real gangs are, right? Like, we got some serious gangs here in Minneapolis, but our gangs are like, I don't know. Our gangs
we just don't have the cultural base and the people like cities like New York. And
I was
going to
say the
Chicago.
reputation.
We
don't have the reputation.
That folds into those other two, though.
Because all the gangs are here.
Yeah.
All the gangs you know about that are in New York, L.A., the Mexican Mafia, they're all here.
Yeah.
They're all here. But we don't have a reputation for being a gangbanging city. Because, and what I'm going to say is because our gangbangers are intelligent.
Right.
The only ones getting busted and getting noticed are kids, and they're stupid, and they're trying to prove
the
something.
low-level offender.
They're trying to prove something, right?
Yeah, they're trying to
the real G's in Minneapolis, St. Paul, they fly under the radar. They're honorable, respectful citizens, and they're honestly here to protect their neighborhood from other gangbangers because the fucking cops don't do their jobs.
Right.
That's what Minneapolis gangbangers are. I have a lot of respect for Minneapolis gangbangers. Like for real. I ain't saying this because we're doing a podcast. I'm saying this for real. Like I ain't snitching on no fucking Minneapolis gang. I'll snitch on a fucking kid who shoots somebody in my front yard and they try to blame the other kid because that's not snitching. Let me elaborate on this. I'm gonna even steal the camera here. I rarely do this. I watched
soapboxing.
I watched Tekashi 6ix9ine get on the Logan Paul podcast.
Oh my God, there's your first mistake.
And no, Kevin and I seen a clip. First of all, let me give a shout out to Ping Trip. Ping Trip did a mashup edited video of Tekashi 6ix9ine on Logan Paul. And it seemed like insanity. And Kevin and I were laughing our fucking asses off because that's what Pink Trip does.
Yeah.
Like, did I show you the Joe Rogan falls in love with Ben Shapiro?
Yeah.
That's Pink Trip.
Gotcha.
That's Pink Trip. Gotcha. Okay. So Pink Trip does this one with Tekashi 6ix9ine and Logan Paul. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, look up Pink Trip. It's P1 NGTRIP. He's on YouTube. He makes these amazing this last run of videos he's doing where he edits the music and he's top internet right now. So this motherfucker
just memeing hard,
dude. Yeah, for real. This motherfucker makes this video of Tekashi 6ix9ine and Logan Paul, and Kevin and I are laughing so fucking hard. We're like, Kevin's like, dude, I want to watch this podcast, and I'm like, are you serious? Because I hate Tekashi 6ix9ine, I hate Logan Paul,
right?
But I'm like, all right, you're my boy. Like,
let's find out what the full context is.
You just moved in, right? Like, you don't have your own space anymore. Like, all right, you know what? Fine, dude. Like, we're having fun. This is gonna be insanity. Let's cue it up. We watch it. Tekashi 6ix9ine goes on some rant about trying to justify him snitching. So here's what he does. He brings up the analogy. I'm gonna bring you into the analogy.
Okay.
All right, you ready for this?
Here's
what he says. Here's what he says. Okay. You know this guy sitting here, this ghost that's not in this chair. This guy shoots someone. And they blame your cousin. And you say, it wasn't my cousin. It was this guy. And then Tekashi goes, is that snitching? Is that snitching? Is that snitching? Is that snitching? Here's why it's not, motherfucker. Because that's called justice. Because you're talking about an innocent man being framed for a crime he didn't commit.
Right.
What you did, Tekashi 6ix9ine, is you snitched and ratted out people to save your own ass and receive a lesser sentence for a crime you did commit.
Right.
You little bitch. You little bitch. I hope this gets back to you, 6ix9ine, and I hope you think you and your boys can roll up in the hood. Because I'm armed, the hood's armed, and I got respect. So fuck you, 6ix9ine. I hope my petty little podcast gets to you. I hope somebody clips this and sends it to you. You dirty little snitch ass bitch. That's why it's the difference. Because you tried to get off on it. The analogy used on Logan Paul's podcast.
Don't say he tried to get off on it. It wasn't.
He did.
It wasn't.
He tried to get off on it.
It wasn't.
He tried to get off on it.
It wasn't a 9-year-old girl.
He tried to get off on it because you know what he was doing? He was jacking off in the fucking prison cell the whole time. Oh, I got away with it. He's getting off on it. You little bitch. No, that's the difference.
Dude.
Is what he tried to bring up as his own rationalization
was a totally different moral equation.
Yeah, dude. No, that's not snitching. And here's my point. So fuck you too, Logan Paul, because you know what? Everyone on that podcast, you could see him. It in their eyes. They were just.
God.
This is the
just
biggest.
This is attention.
This is Tekashi 6ix9ine. This is huge ratings. They were so afraid to go after him, and it's like, no, dude. Because here's the thing, man. Like what you're talking about right now, bro, is justice for somebody who didn't commit a crime. You're bragging about the fact that you thought hip-hop was real. You thought rap was real. So you were actually out there doing the murders and the raps.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, the robberies that you're rapping about.
You were out there doing the raps. Could you sound any whiter, Jared?
But you're doing the robberies that you're rapping about. That's what I meant to say.
Right. No, I'm following.
And he went after Drake and everybody else in the same breath because he goes, oh, so-and-so who raps about robberies and attempted murder. Like, when's the last time you seen them caught up on charges? Yeah, because they're fake. Because they're not doing it. I am. And it's like, yeah, but then you turned around and snitched on a bunch of people so you didn't get a bigger sentence. You were out in like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like, that's the definition of a snitch. You dirty ass bitch. Like you ain't hard. And he was wearing a wig. So fuck that guy. He's wearing a fucking wig. That whole rainbow shit. That whole rainbow shit.
Wait.
Are
you serious?
I dated enough hairdressers to know a fucking wig when I see one.
Oh yeah, I suppose that's a weave. I mean, it's his hair. He paid for it.
It's someone else's hair that he paid for.
Dude, that's a fucking what the hell is her name? Go to rehab, bitch.
Amy
Winehouse. She was on some fucking sketch show. Like Nevermind the Buzzcocks or something like that, and some cheeky comedian's like, "Is that your hair?" She's like, "Yeah, I bought it."
That's awesome.
Yeah, just like,
it's mine. I bought it.
Yeah, it's mine. I bought
it. Is that your hair? No, I'm renting it. You got me, dude. We've gone over 2 hours already.
Easy.
When do you want to wrap this up?
I don't know.
I'm having a good time. We don't have to wrap it up now.
No, dude, it's early. I don't got class until like 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I just wanted to check in with you, dude, because this is usually I pay a little bit more attention, but I can always tell how much fun I'm having on a podcast because when I turn around and look and go, holy shit, 2 hours. Wow. Usually I turn around and look at about 45, maybe an hour. I do my first check. I've looked this way several times for the viewers or listeners. If you guys are just catching this for time, I do this a lot. And I'm looking at a lot of information when I look up to my left. I'm making sure that the feed is still working, checking my CPU, my frames per rate, all that kind of shit. And sometimes I also check the timer. And this time I've only been checking, frame rate looks good, upload looks good. And I just fucking noticed 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours and 17 minutes we just hit.
Nice. I'm just looking at my, since we're so casual here, I'm just looking at my class schedule to see what I've got tomorrow. I'm taking this class right now called Politics of Disruption, Violence and Its Alternatives. And like the first third of this course is supposed to be, per the professor, all nonviolent. Like, you know, your Gandhis, your MLKs, and things like that. And then this, like, the latter 2/3 of this course are going to be about like violent uprisings and shit. And this dude's from India, so it's going to be, I imagine, there's going to be quite a large focus on the movements within India and Sri Lanka and like.
So I used to work with this dude from India. There's
going to be a lot of overlap with U.S. politics. You know, so it's a fun, interesting class.
I used to work with this dude from India, and he was born in India. He was raised in India. He was our age, 35, 40 years old, and he had only been living in America for, God, I forget what it was, like 15 years, and it only been a naturalized citizen for like the last 5.
Right.
Maybe it's way longer than that. But he still went back every year.
Right.
And he was telling me, now this is anecdotal, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I also haven't found any definitive information that directly contradicts him either. He was saying, y'all think shit is crazy when you go from fucking George Bush to Obama to Trump. He's like, you have no fucking idea how volatile it is in India.
Oh, yeah.
It's 10-year terms, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And they go from extremely conservative in one president's term,
liberal to the next one.
And when I say extremely,
their pendulum swings hard.
When I say extremely conservative, I mean like full-on alcohol prohibition from one president,
right?
And zero gay rights, and like the most conservative things you could possibly think of to the very next president, the exact opposite. And then the next guy goes back the other way.
Right.
And then the next guy goes back the other way.
Yeah.
Like there is no consistency. There is no stability.
Right.
Like there's sweeping drastic changes. And he was saying that's why you Americans don't appreciate, and he was saying you Americans.
Right.
He was like, because immigrant Americans appreciate America more than natural Americans,
certainly differently at the like, very least.
Yeah, because they're like, you don't appreciate the stability you have. Like,
right,
you have
that is the biggest thing.
Change, almost nothing actually changes day to day. It takes a long time for anything to happen.
It's a big ship. It's hard to steer it.
Yep, which is exactly what's fucking killing us, trying to deal with the COVID shit.
Right.
And people are holding that against us right now, but it's like that's literally how we prevented everything from going wrong for so long.
Right.
So let's take the good with the bad.
We would have been balkanized during the Cold War if it wouldn't have been for how slow our government actually moves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And here's the thing: is we make swift moves when we need to. Like
but
war,
only But
when it comes to legislation and public policy, no.
Yeah. Right. We've relegated a lot of authority to our executive branch, and like. Since we're jumping all over the place here, what drives me nuts is when
we keep coming back to the same thing, though.
Yeah, I mean,
which is today.
Yeah,
and we're live now, so the more we keep it relevant, the better it is than it was 2 weeks ago.
When we overthrew Libya and Gaddafi came down, there was a bill that went through the House and the Senate to authorize the use of force for the president, and it was resoundingly rejected by the Republicans in the House and the Senate. And 2 years later, when people were polled about the use of force and executive action, the Republicans overwhelmingly supported the use of executive action for military force when they wouldn't for Obama. You know, it's another one of the things where the Democrats played by the rules and tried to authorize the use of military action in Libya, got rejected, still managed to overthrow the country and laugh about it.
You're not taking sides here. I get it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
you're making factual observations. You're not making a political rhetoric argument right now. Just for the viewers that don't understand. Because again, a lot of people don't understand why I interrupt so much. It's because there's other people listening.
Right.
Seriously, there is.
No, yeah.
So is what Dalton, I want you guys to hear him out, because what he's not doing right now is he's not making a pro or anti-Trump or Hillary argument.
These are not my positions. These are facts
factual
observations.
So there was a bill introduced to try to authorize military force via executive order. It was universally denied under Obama.
And then
keep going.
Yeah. So like it just speaks to this overall.
No, finish the sentence first, just in case anybody got confused and I'm catching.
I forget what the sentence was, but
so it was universally denied via executive order under Obama. But once Trump got into office,
once posed with the same question under a Republican president,
then suddenly
Republican executive action is the way to go.
Whereas both parties were against it under Obama.
Right.
This isn't him making a pro-Obama, anti-Obama, pro-Trump, anti-Trump. He's saying a factual observation of how the votes went. And suddenly that power was consolidated to this president.
Right. And the real idea, the real my biggest thing here is the fact that there was even, I'll hedge myself like I always do. Like I don't have all these details nailed down. The fact of the matter is, one of these parties tries to go through the normal channels of operation within our government, and whenever they do, they get punished for it because they're just not playing hardball. You know, like they could have just done it. He could have just done it. I mean, he was doing it. He's doing it already in Yemen and all over the Middle East. You know, droning weddings and shit like that. What difference does this make at this point? You know,
You're talking about Obama at this point.
yeah. Like, I lean hard to the left, but that doesn't mean I'm not critical of what needs to be criticized.
No,
you know
I'm
what
just
I mean?
clarifying for them in
For-
case
but
they're
for, like,
confused. Because Trump has done the same thing, just in case anybody doesn't know what he's talking about. So Anwar fucking what's his name? I always forget his last name.
Anwar al-Sadat.
I think that no, that's the Ethiopian king.
Saudi Arabian, maybe?
No. There was an American citizen named Anwar something. He was an American citizen.
Okay.
What you're talking about, specifically that wedding, was
right.
Obama
Yeah.
drone bombing an American citizen and violating his constitutional rights to a fair trial, representation, to confront his accusers, so on and so forth, because he was deemed a terrorist. Now, here's the thing is people go, yeah, that's why Obama sucked. But here's the deal. Here's what you all don't understand. Trump just did the exact same thing to his little sister.
Right.
They both are the same president when
Yeah.
it comes to this specific thing. They did the exact same thing. Both of these last two presidents used power given to them by George Bush, not Obama.
And everyone,
not Obama,
and everyone before
not
him, because
Obama.
because
No, I'm talking about the Patriot Act.
right,
Okay,
right. He wasn't a senator in it when that was
and
relevant.
regardless, even if he was. It was
he
it
still
was a
authorized
Bush
numerous
administration
NDAAs.
policy through Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld. It was specifically tied back to them, where both a Democratic president and a Republican president, somewhere between 8 and 16 years later, exploited that power, and two different presidents in both parties have murdered an American citizen without getting in their right to a fair trial, representation, confront their accusee, jury of their peers, so on and so forth.
Right.
These are huge travesties in American justice.
If we've learned anything this year, it's that violations of human rights just get you a brown star. Like, there's no repercussions for that.
Right. There aren't.
You know, like it's just like, oh dang, they did it again.
Like, what the fuck's going on?
Well, man, like the fucking.
And now we see Homeland Security fucking deploying soldiers
providing
on American soil against American citizens.
Here's how you have to frame these things. All right.
They promised they weren't going to do that in 2000.
Here's
with the Patriot Act. We will never deploy soldiers on American soil.
Right.
And now you have Americans running around saying Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization, which means you're going to have legislators and representatives feeling pressure from their constituents.
Dude, it's insane. It's so insane.
To fucking deploy.
And now New York, Portland, and Seattle are considered anarchist jurisdictions as of today.
I think New York just got thrown in there too, or did you say New York?
Yeah, I said New York, Seattle, and Portland. So
you
like,
notice how we escaped that? Because the citizens banded together and we were like, nope, we're done with this.
Right, well, I mean,
we still have George Floyd memorials and protests.
Oh yeah,
we're done with the riots.
Right.
We're like, nope, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah,
shut it down.
There's something going on every week in this city.
But it started here. Think about this,
and every day.
But think about this once again. We keep running into the same thing in this country. Okay, George Floyd happened here. That was our police department that did this. We started the riots. We stopped the riots before anyone else, and the rest of the country is still in fucking chaos.
Well, I mean, the rest of the country's I think a loose term, but I mean, I haven't been following it because it's hard to.
You know what I mean?
But yeah,
it is a broad brush.
It's a broad brush, but like what the shit that's gone on in Seattle and Portland, Chicago, that's gone super underreported and hard to find information on. I mean, where do you fucking start? Where did I leave off?
When we were talking about they were labeled anarchist zones.
Right. So like,
and I just think it's funny that started here, and we're not an anarchist zone.
Right. it's just.
It's because the community banded together. I
Yeah.
remember the rhetoric on the streets.
Oh yeah, I know what I was
Fuck
going to
the
say.
news,
Hey,
fuck the news,
if anyone listening is on Twitter, you need to follow Kimberly Wooster. Let me pull
yeah,
up her
look
handle
that
real
up.
quick.
Look that up. Plug that. Keep
Because
going. Kill 60 seconds for me. I got to take a leak.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have to do the same. So, Kimberly Wooster is a member of the George Floyd Memorial Site, like first aid tent, and I know I'm butchering that title, but she's on Twitter. She's got excellent firsthand accounts of what goes on at 38th in Chicago, where George Floyd was killed, because there's been a volunteer presence there since immediately after the riots. And, you know, when you hear shit on the news about, you know, Minneapolis being a complete war zone and all this shit, it's such a misrepresentation. I don't know. Get off Facebook. Tailor your Reddit subreddits to shit that helps you. Because what you absorb intentionally and unintentionally makes a difference in how you behave later. Because you can only make decisions based on what you know, and if you know bad information, you're going to make bad decisions. I don't know. Life's hard, man. Don't be a loser. I'm just going, man. You told me to kill 60 seconds, and I'm at 69. All right. That's where I'm at.
All I know is I left and you said something about Valerie or Victoria Wooten, something Wooten.
Oh, Kimberly
and
Wooster.
I come back and it's, yeah, man, life's hard. Don't be a loser.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, we got to wrap this up. We got to wrap this up. Knowing that I left for 69 seconds and it derailed that fast.
Well,
we got to wrap it up.
I don't
That's
know.
why, you know what? I want to start doing more, now that I have the tech figured out, I want to start doing more groups, because when we got to take off and pee, it's so much better when there's two people in the room.
I should bring my buddy Paco over. He's a driver for Pizza Luce. And
that'd be hilarious. Just
dude,
some random dude. He's not a musician. He's not a comedian. He's not a celebrity. No one knows him.
But you say all those things, but you're wrong about every single one of them. Because Paco is like, he's like, I don't know how much native he's got in him, but enough to pull off.
Because I don't want to co-host. You know what I mean?
Right. But like Paco, his evening job is a driver for Luce, but he's a fucking character, man. He's gay and he raps and he's
okay. But if he comes on, tell him he can't rap on the podcast.
No, he wouldn't.
He can play some of his music on the podcast, but he's not allowed to rap on the. Like, dude, here's the deal. No one's coming on the podcast. Okay, in case.
No.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
No. I know exactly where you're going with this.
Okay, but the listeners don't. But the listeners don't.
Let me provide a disclaimer here.
But the listeners
because Paco
don't.
wouldn't. He doesn't have like an album that he's trying to push or anything.
But the listeners have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
He'll spit some bars at a campfire that'll leave you speechless, and then he'll be like really shy about shit.
Cool, but the listeners
he's awesome like that,
dude,
you know.
But I'm sounding like a huge asshole right now. The listeners have no idea what I'm talking about. I have a pet peeve
I know
for
exactly.
two things.
I know exactly how much of an asshole you are, but your listeners,
you also know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
because we've had this conversation and you've seen it happen in real life, and you see how uncomfortable I get.
Yeah,
there's two things, which is really the same thing, which will make me utterly uncomfortable to the point where I have to leave the room, which is why it will never happen on the podcast.
One of those things is this. Like, oh man, you got to see this.
No, it's none of those things.
Oh no,
It is.
Watch my live band on this shitty YouTube video.
Nope.
I'm close.
I'm
closing in.
That's on a list.
Oh no. Can I take one more crack?
Yeah.
My third swing here, because I think I got this. I think I've got this. It's. Here, listen to this, and they hold something up on their phone.
Same thing. That's on a list.
Okay.
That's the same thing as the last one.
Okay.
No, here's what it is, bro. I'm a great rapper. Cool. I'm going to spit you some bars. And then they just start rapping to you.
Oh, God.
Or the same version on the other musical spectrum. Guy busts out his cell phone nowadays, and he just starts singing lyrics to a song.
Oh, God.
And it's even worse when they make eye contact with you. Here's what it is.
Oh, my God.
A cappella vocals. Impromptu.
Yeah.
When you're not into it. That's what I'm getting at, which happens too often. Right?
So if it happens, well, you're right, because it happens at all.
Dude, and it happens a lot, because we'll be sitting there hanging out, hypothetically, me and you at the bar. We're hanging out with some other dude, like somebody invited him. Me, you, whatever. Maybe another one of our friends, and then that guy didn't show up. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the three of us are hanging out, and some other dude walks up, and we're hanging out. He seems cool, you know, and he's like, yeah, I'm a rapper. And we're like, oh, yeah, cool, we're musicians too. And then all of a sudden, this guy goes, oh, really? Rap for us. And I look at him and I'm like,
no,
I'm gonna
no, I didn't say I was a rapper. I said I was a musician.
I'm talking about the third guy, right?
Yeah,
the third guy tells the fourth guy that just walked up, hey, oh, you're a rapper, rap for us.
Oh,
and I want to punch,
guy's worse than the guy
and I want to punch
raps.
This guy in the throat, and then this guy immediately stands there and starts spitting bars for us, and it's like, dude, leave. And sometimes it's a guy who sings, like every once in a while it's a guy who does R&B. Yeah. Oh, and I want to punch you in the throat now.
Yeah. What about the guy that says he's got poetry?
Worse. Same thing. Same thing.
Dude, it's arguably worse if that dude is white. You know?
There is one guy. There is one guy in downtown Minneapolis.
I don't want to hear about fucking flowers, man.
There's one guy in downtown Minneapolis that sells his poetry in book form. Oh my God. And he's actually really good. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, he's actually really good. And I've run into him several times. And almost every time I buy the same poetry book from him. He's got one book. There's 30 poems in there. They're all original. And he'll read one out of them. So you can either give him a couple bucks and he'll read a poem out of the book, or you can give him like 5 books and he'll just give you the book. I'm convinced I've bought that same poetry book like 5 or 6 times, at least, because I run into him like once every 6 months to a year. Every time I go downtown, I run into the same fucking guy, and I buy that same fucking poetry book because I've never actually read it. I know how shitty that sounds, but the point is that every single time I pay him to read one of the poems, and then I buy the book from him, and then I never read it, so every time I run back into him, he can read me another poem, because he's only got the one book. I figured it out the second time. So if I actually read that book, every time I see him, I wouldn't have any new material. So I figure, okay, if I run into this guy every 6 months to a year and he's got 30 poems in the same book, that gives me like 15 to 30 years. And then I can pay him twice every time. I think it's $2 or $3 for him to read a poem, $5 for the whole book. I'm pretty sure his model's way off. It should be like $10 for the book, $2 or $3 to read a poem. But he is actually really good. I was actually really surprised. I don't know if you caught all that while you were gone, but
no. But
I just basically
you're
said
staying on the same topic, so I can jump back in here.
It's like $2 or $3. Here's what his deal was. It was something like $2 or $3 for him to read one of his poems.
Yeah,
in person, and they were actually really good, even when he was doing it. But again, it's like, no, I'm engaging you.
Yeah,
I'm paying you because I'm in a mood.
He's offering
to hear you be a street performer,
right?
And it was like $2 or $3 to read a poem, and I think this is what I always did, is it was like, or $5 and you can just like buy my little book. And it was always like a full paper thing. He probably printed them at the library, had them cut, stapled them together.
Right. But he's hustling.
But dude, no, here's the thing is like, there's 30 super legit poems in there.
Yeah.
Because I did read a couple of them. And the second time I met him, it was the same. I noticed it was the same book. And I was like, oh, okay. So is what I immediately did, and I don't remember if this was conscious or subconscious. I made it conscious when I verbalized it while you were gone, but basically, I bought that same poetry book like 5 or 6 times.
Nice.
And so is what I figured out is I go down there, I pay him his $2 or $3 to read a poem, and then I give him another $5 plus a tip, so it's usually a $10 bill.
Yeah.
And then I take his book, don't read it, because I realized it's all the same material.
Right.
But
he's playing the same set to everyone.
But if I don't buy it, if I don't read it, it doesn't matter how many times I buy it.
Right.
I can get 15 to 30 years of content out of this dude because I see him every 6 months to a year every time I go downtown.
Yeah.
Like I go downtown a lot, but once every 6 months to a year, I see the same guy.
Yeah.
I pay him $2, $3 to read me a different poem out of his book.
Yeah.
And then I pay him $5 to buy his book.
Right.
And as long as I don't read it, every time I go back, I still get new content. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm still paying him and supporting him. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm not going to read this fucking poetry book. Fuck it.
Yeah. Like, and what this entire thing hinges on is the exchange. Like, you're not just giving this dude $10. You're buying something from him. You're like, even if you're not reading it.
And his poetry is way better in person. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Is his poetry is performed.
Yeah.
It's good when you read it. It's cool.
Right.
But it's better when it's performed by him.
Right.
It's like slam poetry, you know?
Yeah. And slam poetry,
but again,
in
that's
particular,
something you're
is one of those
engaging in.
things.
You're choosing to go to a slam poetry show.
Right.
I'm specifically ranting about when somebody shoves their a cappella performance down your fucking throat when you're not into it. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's
no, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Peeve. But that's my biggest pet peeve. So then there's your other list, which is pet peeves, right?
Right.
That's what I'm getting at. And that's where what you brought in, like, oh, hold on, I got this new song. Let me grab my cell phone, hit play at a bar, and shove it in your face. Like, dude, I don't want to listen to your music out of your cell phone. Here's my number, or here's my email, or here's my Facebook. Message it to me, and I'll listen to it on my nice-ass setup with monitors or headphones. And the shittier the quality, the more important it is I listen to it on good equipment.
Right.
Even if you have a top-notch $100,000 studio recording,
right?
I don't want to hear it on your cell phone. The farther you get away from that $100,000 recording, the less I want to hear it on your cell phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not talking to you right now, Dalton. I'm talking
I know.
through you to the rest of the world who doesn't understand. And I'm not alone on this.
Right.
Most people feel this way. Stop. If you're a young musician, stop making people listen to your cell phone music at a fucking bar.
It's just as a rule in general, no one wants to listen to your music. Like if you're riding your skateboard around campus and you've got your Beats pill strapped to the outside of your backpack and you're playing the new single from the Shins, I fucking hate you. I just fucking do.
But here's the thing: is maybe that dude isn't doing it for attention or for you. He's really doing it because he can't fucking keep earbuds or AirPods or any of that shit in his ears.
I'm sorry about his oversized fucking earlobes, and I hate to be so fucking
music is so
ableist.
important to him that because dude, here's the thing: is I've been in situations where it's exactly that. Like, no, dude, I'm not listening to headphones. I want this tiny little pill or the JBL Flip. And like I'm listening to music, but I turn it down. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So I can still hear it.
See, you're a dick, but you're not an asshole. Like someone will still put you in their mouth.
I'm actually not even a dick anymore. I'm not even a dick anymore. I'm a little abrupt.
Yeah, I'd say you're a little abrupt.
I've softened up dramatically over the last 5 years.
Over the last 5 years, probably. But
dude, you ask Kevin.
Yeah.
He'll go, dude.
Yeah.
That dude is lightened up every 5 years.
You still
over the last 20.
You gotta understand, like I'm an incredibly mild mannered guy. If you can't tell by now. Like you've never seen me mad once in your life.
Yes, I have.
When was I mad?
You got irritated at work. And it wasn't because of me. I remember it. I can't remember who it was that pissed you off.
Yeah, I wasn't mad.
No, I seen your eyes glaze over, and I seen you almost walk out. Because
You'd have to provide the situation
I'm
for
trying.
me to
I'm trying.
to
I'm
jog
trying.
my.
I'm
Yeah, you'd have to
trying.
jog my memory.
I'm trying.
Like I'm not saying you're a liar, but I just don't remember.
But here's what I'm saying. I have a photographic memory, so I remember the image and I remember the moment and I remember the feeling and everything surrounded around it. I'm just trying to remember what led up to it now.
See, you say photographic memory. I have a photogenic memory where all my memories are just good. Like that's what that means. Like all my
That's
memories.
not a thing.
No, it totally is.
No, it's not.
It's totally the thing.
You're such a douche. You're such a douche.
No, I have a photogenic memory.
All
like
your memories are all your
all
memories
my memories
are pretty.
Like everything I remember is pretty.
Idiot.
Even my heart-crushing divorce.
All right, listen, we're rolling up on 3 hours. All right,
So
listen,
what?
man. Thank you so much for bailing me out tonight.
Bail out nothing.
My cancellation was not malicious by any means. It came up on the last podcast. I had a couple people text me. No, if I came across that way, that was not the point. People have fucking lives. Shit comes up.
And I just happen to be a neighbor.
I'm not fucking Joe Rogan, so this isn't the highest priority for everyone in the world, and I respect that and I understand that. It happens. I've had no one outright cancel on me. I've had no one say they're not willing to do the show. Is what I have is people have things come up. They either forget or bigger priorities happen,
Kids,
and they have to reschedule,
family,
and then the rescheduling has become more and more difficult. And yes, when someone cancels or reschedules on me twice, I do get frustrated, but that's not an indictment on them personally. So I don't want to hear that anymore. Stop messaging me about it.
I love being on the outside of this and hearing it like, wait, whoa, hold up. Is there an entire fucking YouTube comments thread I haven't read?
No, I get private because the podcast is small enough. They're all private messages.
Yeah, oh, gotcha.
But dude, I got 69 subscribers, and I'm sorry, but
yeah,
it's not messages about the same fucking comment is a lot when you only have 69 subscribers.
You're not playing to an empty room here,
right? Right? Like I don't have a lot of people watching, but I have.
But it's not yeah.
And a lot of the people are my friends and fans and stuff, and like they're still following me, and like I have different pages that people can get to, so it's like I get 2 or 3 messages, on each platform.
Yeah, if someone's saying something about some shit
on each episode, like, and I never see it. That's why I keep saying I'm shocked and surprised and so thankful that this many people are actually watching this. I remember when I said I was going to start the podcast, I remember saying, if I get 12 unique listeners on the first episode, I'll consider it a success.
Boy, pour yourself a bottle of Dom Perignon.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's working. People enjoy it. Thank you guys so much because it's a fucking ton of fun for me.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun for me. Thanks.
Because I hang out with most of these fucks on
outside
a daily
of this,
basis.
Yeah.
But it's different because when we're hanging out at the gazebo, like we're on our cell phones, there's music blaring, there's people that walk up.
We're having laughs, we're talking all sorts of ridiculous
But when
shit.
we do this, there's something really cool about this, and you hear Rogan talk about it. Like
there's a framing on, you know, you put the cans on.
It's just us.
Yeah.
And the mics and the fucking in the cans.
Environment is everything.
Our voices are the exact same level, even when we yell. Like it's so hard to actually talk. Like we interject and crosstalk.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to actually talk over someone in this scenario. Mm-hmm. Like it just is. So you naturally listen more.
Right.
And then
the headphones do that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because I had another guest ask me, why do we do the headphones? And I explained this. And then another thing is we are still doing it at my house right now until we fully monetize. And we can truly afford a complex of sorts.
Yeah.
And so there are things happening above us. And there are fucking, dogs chirping in the background. Luckily, the listeners hear none of it because I dialed in the mics. But for us, even with those other distractions,
like we're in a place.
The cans help us focus. And it's just so unique. It's so fun. Whether I'm hanging out with somebody I don't know very well and I'm getting to know them, or I'm hanging out with somebody who's one of my best friends and a band member, for us to just have these moments in this day and age where distraction and short attention spans are everything, like I get so much enjoyment. Like no offense, I've even given you and Kevin shit about this. Sometimes the three of us are hanging out down here doing not a podcast, and you two fucking idiots are on your phone.
Well, yeah. It's the 21st century, bud.
Right? But it doesn't happen on a podcast.
No.
So we can have way more
I mean, there's still all sorts of shit
because people are less distracted on this.
Right.
And I think the viewers and the listeners are drawn to that because we don't have commercial interjections. We don't have 30-second fucking segments where you have to make your fucking opinion matter. We're not screaming over each other like on CNN or Fox News.
Yeah, just listen to these two random assholes from Minneapolis talking a basement, But
here's the thing is...
But that's the beautiful thing about it.
But regardless of whether we're from Minneapolis or in my basement, there are people listening already.
We have a lot.
I can verify.
There's a lot.
In other parts of the world.
There's a lot to be shared. I mean,
there's already several people in Europe that listen to this podcast. Dude.
Well, what I'm saying is that there's a lot of shared common experience among people that isn't recognized until they hear people talk. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm getting
at.
And
so,
whether
like when you've got
not.
Jen Dean, someone like Jen Dean on, or
you,
or me, or
my cousin Nick,
or your cousin Nick, or Scotty, or what's his dude's name with the beard, the business dude?
Oh, Chuck.
You
met Chuck. You know Chuck in real life now.
Chuck
before the podcast.
Before the cast. Yeah, and listening to his podcast was like, fuck, I need a dude like this in my fucking life, man. Because
that's why I love that dude.
Because he just knows things about business and how taxes and like how to manage those sorts of things that I'm just like.
Well,
yeah,
it's
dude,
also the mindset of how to approach that.
Well, right, but also it reminds me that there's so much I just don't fucking know.
Right.
Like
as much as we think we're an expert,
as much
we're all idiots, bro.
As opinionated as I am about politics and all the bullshit. And how much I want to take like some sort of direct action and make a change in this world. Like, I've never fucking hired anyone. So what good have I really fucking done?
Fair, but hold on.
I mean?
But hold on though.
But
hold on though. Because I think you just stumbled on something really, really profound. A guy like Chuck provides a reasonable and rational, non-hateful approach to the modern day conservative Republican mindset.
Right.
Not everyone
business oriented.
Right.
And it's oriented towards people that can take advantage of the system.
And he pays
from
his
the
people,
bottom up.
And he pays his
from
people
the
a
bottom
lot.
up. Yeah, exactly.
And he pays his people a lot. And the most important thing about that is he goes, no, here's the thing is every dime the government tries to take from me because they say I'm making too much. Here's the thing. It's all based on percentages. So they're just taking from the company, which also takes from potential raises and things like that from our employees.
Right.
Like, not every businessman is a fucking complete corrupt fuck.
Right.
Yes, you're always
right.
And so I don't know if this is where you were going with it.
That's just so fucking important to realize.
And I don't know if this is where you were going with it, but another great thing about the podcast is having people from every angle of life, every walk of life, giving all of us a platform to have a discussion. And I'm never going after people. I never try to make my guests look
you
stupid.
Haven't so far. Like,
I never try to fucking make them sound like assholes. The whole point is whether you got an album to promote or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all about getting to know you, because I find you interesting, because I find you fascinating,
right.
And I find the way you think or approach things fascinating. Whether you're carefree and you're like, I don't give a fuck, I find that fascinating.
Right.
How do you do that? How do you not give a fuck about anything that's going on in 2020? How are you that fucking happy? Not Dalton.
Well, I'm pretty fucking happy, all things considered.
But you know what I'm talking about,
that
that weird. And it's like same thing. And a guy like Chuck, it's like, how can you possibly like still act this way? And he goes, dude, I fucking don't like that guy, but I just know that this other group is going to put me in a box, and they're going to make it harder for me to run my business,
right?
Which is going to make it harder for me to have employees, which is going to put more people out of work. And
right.
Like you said, it's just from a business thing, and he's not a malicious dude.
No, and like, I'm sure me and Chuck would disagree on some philosophical aspects of how businesses work and things like that. But he's gonna run.
But he will show you why it ended up that way.
Yeah.
He's not even gonna argue with. He's gonna go, no, you're right, but here's why it's like that. Because when we did it the other way, this is what happened. And you're gonna go, oh fuck, this is 10 times more complicated than I thought it was.
Right. Exactly.
And then he'll give you a simple solution. He'll go, here's what they should do, and you go, that makes sense. Why don't they do that? And then we arrive where we ended up. 45 minutes ago, which is you would make a perfect candidate for the Navy. You have a perfect, responsible, logical answer for it, and it doesn't make any sense why no one else has thought of this. There you go.
Yeah, right. And the word Sonder has been really important to me a lot lately, and you should Google it real quick because it's a really great word.
Well, I just want you to define it because we're wrapping this bad boy up.
So that Sonder is
not saunter.
No, Sonder. Sonder is
my friend Travis's last name.
It can
Saunder.
SO.
Oh, never mind. Not my friend's last name.
It's the realization that everyone around you has a life as complex and rich as your own.
That's awesome.
And if you can hold on to just a touch of that, it makes every interaction you have with every other person just that much more richer because everyone was a kid. Everyone went to high school. Some people got bullied. Some people did the bullying. You don't know, like, if you were bullied, you don't know what it's like to be a bully. All right? Like, that, and that's not to, like, hold bullies in high regard.
That's exactly what it is, by the way. Now, in the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and as complex as your own.
Yeah. So, like, every feeling you've ever had towards every pet you've had, every ex-girlfriend, every ex-wife, every best friend, every person you come across on the street has something similar.
Yeah, so basically this happens as soon as you do mushrooms.
Right. You're just immediately a little bit more empathetic. And you understand.
And anyone who's ever done mushrooms has this feeling of Sonder.
But they just, the fact that there's actually a word for it is just like, thank God.
Right?
Like, because ideas are hard like that. It's hard, like, from a bilingual perspective, the way certain ideas are expressed to convey the same meaning but have totally different ways of saying them is its own avenue. But having a word that defines something so specifically is super important. Like the German word Schadenfreude has come into the American lexicon over the last 5 years. Like, oh, thank God, someone I hate is suffering. Sure. Like, we finally have a word for that.
Yeah. Or, in case anyone doesn't know what he's talking about, Schadenfreude is a German word that does not translate into English, but it literally means to take joy in someone else's suffering.
Right.
Americans, well,
like
revel,
German
revel would be the closest word, but usually you revel in victory, not in someone else's defeat.
Yeah. We
do have that phrase that I revel in your defeat. We do have a phrase,
right? We don't have like a specific word that drills down to the essence of someone I don't let. Yeah. And there's another. The Germans have another great word for a punchable face. It's like a backfishten facing or something.
I hate that. I hate that phrase. A punchable face is, like, to me, the grossest version of the human condition.
It really is. But at the same time, I know exactly what it means.
I do too. But it disgusts me when I feel that way about another person. I don't know anything about you.
The Covington kid was.
I called you on that in the car.
Yeah,
and that still bugs me to this day.
It bugs me that I was like that about that kid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it makes sense.
But at the same time, the fact that kid got a speaking slot at the Republican National Convention makes me believe that he was not in fact canceled. So we can drop that narrative. Were people awful to you? Yes, abso-fucking-lutely. Was it uncalled for? Yes, abso-fucking-lutely.
But then you weaponized it.
Against everyone else in the end anyway. So where are we?
But
not fuck you. But not fuck you. But where are we?
Let's just for a second play devil's advocate to that kid. By us and the punchable face mentality.
Yeah.
Not rhetoric.
I mean, because everyone's got it for someone.
But not rhetoric, but mentality.
Yeah.
We essentially martyred someone. We made a living martyr out of someone. We galvanized him, and we turned him into a Republican. because he was demonized by the other side. That's why this cancel culture is so dangerous. So if the Republicans...
It's not because things are getting canceled. It's because it's galvanizing things in the process.
I'm way oversimplifying this argument, but we are trying to wrap this up here.
Are we?
Here's
I mean, I'm not in any time rush here.
Okay,
whatsoever.
we can keep going then. Fuck it, dude. We can keep going. I'm having fun.
Going, yeah.
I'm having a blast because we're just getting to the juicy stuff
yeah,
now.
We're
which is what
now.
sucks about a podcast. Because in case anybody wonders why the fuck we go 3 hours, 4 hours, who would listen to this?
You loosen up.
Here's why. The first hour is just getting comfortable. The second hour is when we just start talking about shit, and the third hour is when we get to the best stuff. That's why.
Yeah, we start drilling deep on how we feel about it.
So here's the thing. Here's the problem with the cancel culture. Is you literally push someone out of your group and they feel, based on what I said earlier.
More of these?
Yes. Bottom row. There's also top right row. Grab me one of those spicy pumpkins. There's like a atomic spicy pumpkin. Yeah. There's 2 of these left if you want one. If you like, it's a habanero.
I don't like spicy.
I do. I fucking do. That's why I like the Bloody Marys, dude. That's why I like the dude. I love them. Wait till I make you my fucking Serrano double chocolate milk stout. I call it Mexican hot chocolate.
I will never be your Mexican hot chocolate.
Dude, you're going to like that fucking beer, though, bro. You're going to like that fucking beer, though.
I buy that.
Seriously, you should come over and fucking we'll brew some beer together.
I'm down.
If you did it once and it turned out poorly, I want you to come over with me because everyone.
Dude, if we did it once and it turned out poorly, we'd learn.
No,
all right?
no,
you know what I mean?
No, this is what I'm saying. I'm fucking awesome at brewing beer. Like before, people were like, "Dude, your podcast kicks ass. Like you should really do that. That's like your calling." I had one of these moments before, and it was when I was brewing beer and I would bring it to work. Like coworkers who were beer snobs would be like, "Dude, listen to me.
Beer is amazing.
I've drank a lot of home brews.
I've lost a wife and 3 houses.
Right?
I love craft beer so much.
Not quite that bad, but they like critiqued my beer.
Yeah, gave you notes on it.
They're like, dude, here's the thing, like your flavor, the fucking carbonation, the clarity. Like they broke that shit down and they were like, dude, you should seriously consider, because this was during the craft beer boom. Between
5 years
5 and
ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah. No,
and they were like, dude, these things are starting to pop up. You should seriously consider quitting everything and just doing this. That's how good this is.
Yeah.
And it started with me brewing recipes, like you buy a kit.
Yeah.
And if you're having trouble, if you're getting
I'm good.
Here's what you do. It's like down tuning. It's like up tuning a guitar. Like pull it up and then pull it back down where you want it.
Gotcha.
And that's just for these 2 elbows. This one you got to like, because you've been kind of doing your own thing.
Yeah.
But no, dude, people are like, dude, here's the thing is I brewed that exact kit and it didn't turn out as well as you did. What are you doing? So they'd come over. And I'm convinced, like, still to this day, I'm convinced the biggest difference is I properly sanitize all of my gear. And on that side, I make no mistakes.
Yeah.
Because if somebody comes out with a beer and it doesn't turn out well, I'm willing to bet a lot of money that something wasn't properly sanitized.
Something not clean.
Right.
A little extra funk
and
gets
it's
in
just
there
that simple.
somehow.
It's just that simple. But what were we talking about before the beer brew? We were talking about something serious, and we were getting into some shit.
Oh, we were getting into some shit. About how fucked the whole system is.
Yeah, but we were talking about something specific.
We were specifically talking about connecting with people and how important it is.
Yeah.
Like getting in touch with someone who can humanize some of these issues that me in particular, that I just have like an aversion to, you know, like I've never run a business.
Oh yeah, we.
You know what I mean?
About that. We rewound a little far, but keep going. Yeah, because that's fine. We can touch base back on that again. Because my old buddy, as much as I hate him, he used to say something like that. He used to say something like, "I'm almost to the point where you shouldn't even have the right to vote unless you've owned a small business." And I was like, "That's an extreme thing to say," but I also completely understand why you would say that.
Right.
However,
I understand the thought process.
He had never run a small business.
Wow.
That was the difference.
That is the hatchet.
You know what I mean? That's the difference.
That is the trees voting for the hatchet.
And I remember saying that
is.
to him. I was like, you do realize, John, that you just lost your right to vote. And he goes, I'm not sure I should have a right to vote. Which, again, within another 5 seconds, immediately was like, okay. But that actually, okay, so you're actually saying like, I'm not even sure I
Right.
have a valid opinion because I've never, dude, and
I'm not educated enough to, like.
I made this argument about guns.
Yeah.
You should, I still believe this. You shouldn't have the right to decide whether guns should be legal or illegal, or what guns should be legal or illegal, or how many rounds should be legal or illegal, unless you've taken a full gun training course. And my buddy said, you know who he is. I'm not going to put him on blast on the podcast because he might be coming on soon. But you know him personally. And he said, that's stupid because you can do research. And I said, you know what, though? You know what you can also do research on? Is
Bad
gun
research.
deaths.
Yeah.
Or, I'm
Right.
sorry, not gun deaths. Car accidents.
Right.
And someday we're going to come down to an argument. Do you have the right to drive? Because autonomous vehicles are significantly safer.
so much safer. Right.
Right?
Right.
And somebody's going to go, dude, unless you've driven a car, you don't have the right to take my right to drive. And someone's going to go, I don't need to drive. I take an Uber everywhere by autonomous vehicle. I can just do the research. They're going to go, I've never been in an... You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
a steep analogy, but
Right.
it's a direct parallel.
Right.
Because unless
because
you
the issue
have
is-
direct experience, you said it on the last podcast. There's stats, or what is it?
There's three kinds of lies.
What is it?
Lies, damn lies, and statistics.
That's what
yeah.
it is.
It's an old Mark Twain quote, but you're exactly right, and it dovetails with
technically you're right because you're the
Well,
one that
but-
said it on the last podcast.
well, but your point. But
let's put respect where it's
right.
due.
Well, but your point is still valid because what you're talking about is how all of
Should
the
you be able to hit your kids?
but it's a but you're
Hold on, though.
but you're
Let's stretch this thought experiment. Let's keep the thought experiment. Let's stretch analogies. Should you be able to hit your kids? Guess what? You get an opinion because you have kids.
I do.
I don't have kids.
No.
Should I have an equal opinion how you discipline your kids when I've never had any?
Well,
Should
here's
I?
the thing.
Should I be able to tell you how you should raise your kids when I've never had any? Just I'm not trying to put you in a box.
Yes, because you were one.
Okay, fair. I'll take that.
Yeah,
But
because that
all
because
I
that's the other
should
half
say
of
is
that.
how I don't want to be raised. But
Right.
when the shoot, because what does every
right
parent
because
say?
because if you were hit, maybe you want to raise your kids to not be hit.
Right. But
But you've never had a kid, and you've never been that frustrated to want to hit a kid.
not only that,
Let's be real.
but not only that, every single parent also says you won't understand until you have kids.
Right.
Every
right.
parent
Every
who gets
single
into
time.
any
Every
conversation
single
goes,
time.
hold on, you don't get it because you don't have kids. Like, you don't have kids, so whether you were the kid or not, guess what? We were both the same kid that got hit. But now that I'm the parent, I understand there are certain times to hit my kid. Since
Right.
you don't
Yeah,
have kids, you still think there's never a time to hit a kid. Now, I reversed it because you actually have kids and I don't.
So part of my
I
problem-
reversed that analogy, but I did that on purpose because you realize when I tell you something like that as the parent, how preposterous that sounds. Like,
Right.
dude, we were both the kid that got hit.
Right.
And now I'm the parent who realizes, no, every once in a while I got to slap my kid. If he tells my wife to go fuck off, he's getting his fucking mouth slapped. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Happened to me.
If
Yeah.
I catch him beating the living shit out of his little brother,
Yeah,
I'm
my
beating
physical
the shit out of my kid on his butt cheeks. Maybe not in the face, maybe not in the ribs like he did his little brother. But
Right.
I'm going to spank his little ass so fucking red that he understands the pain and the torture he put another human being from, let alone his brother who he
Right.
loves and cares about.
So in
If
the
you don't have kids, do
Right.
you have the right to tell me I can't do that? The answer is no.
Well,
Because you
part of
don't
the problem
understand
is-
what it's like.
Well, also you have to understand
Even if you were that kid.
even if you were that kid, but also you have to understand that laying your hands on your child as a corrective measure is on a spectrum. Like,
That's what I'm really getting at.
you know what I mean? Like,
Everything's relative.
right.
So
yeah.
when people who don't have experience try to pass laws which are absolute, not relative, that's where we get into issues.
right.
See where I came full circle now?
Yeah,
Now it seems less insane
But
because that's what I was
But the
trying
problem
to
is
get at.
you can't legislate in the other direction.
You
can't-
summarized it much
right,
better than I did.
You know what I mean? You
These
can't
things
let-
are on a spectrum. You can't legislate spectrums or
no,
perspective.
you can legislate on spectrums and perspective because that's how we get the difference between like manslaughter and first degree murder. You know that like
But those are absolutely defined.
Right. So what I'm getting at here is you can't legislate to beat the shit out of your kids. Is what I'm really saying here. You can't legislate positively towards corporal punishment.
I think I see what you're saying, but
we can legislate. You can't beat the shit out of you. You can't beat your kid within
you almost dumped that beer on your crotch, bud.
We understand that you can spank your child. You can slap them on the butt when they're misbehaving and playing in the mud, right? We understand that you can, if your 16-year-old daughter is being mouthy, or if your 15-year-old son is being mouthy at your mom and dad slaps him across the mouth.
Right, but here's what I'm getting at. But then you're in the South and you use a switch.
Right.
And you hit your kid on the ass. Now you're in Alabama, you beat your kid on a switch, okay? You whoop his fucking ass, okay? Because that's normal parent culture down there.
Yeah.
And a bunch of white people, whether you're white or black is irrelevant.
Dude, you're going to love this.
But a bunch of white people from Minnesota say that's child abuse.
Right.
And those white people don't have kids.
Right.
Do they even have the right, not having kids and not being from that area, to understand what your version of normal punishment is?
I mean, you're at the crux of what representative democracy is all about.
That's what I'm getting at here. That's what I'm getting at here. So when we start to make laws, sweeping laws at a federal level that affect everyone, like
hard.
Gun control is where we started with this.
Right, but also like buses stopping at railroad tracks.
We actually started somewhere else. I brought up gun control because I think it was an analogy that track. But we started somewhere before that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like not all of those things, like it's so easy to fall into the trap of everything the government does is bad. I don't think that every school bus stopping at every set of railroad tracks and looking both ways being federal law is a fucking bad thing.
You nailed it. The DNR. The DNR. I've never met a Republican, small government, libertarian, anybody under any of those. I've never met one of them that's a hunter fisherman that thinks the DNR is a waste of time or money.
Right.
Not one of them.
Right. No,
now,
absolutely.
Now, Jamal pointed out a difference. That's a voluntary tax. That's paid through your license plates.
Right.
That's paid for through your fishing licenses.
Fishing license, hunting licenses,
for
all
the
that
lottery.
stuff.
The Minnesota State Lottery funds our DNR.
You got to buy shit to go do it anyway, so you're stimulating the economy in some way, shape, or form.
And when I said your license is like license plates and stuff, that's an optional thing. You can pay the extra $8 to get
you can buy. And
it's got a different design.
This year, when I buy my plates, I'm buying state park plates.
I think I'm going to too because it's $8 or something, or $20.
It's like $8 a day for a state park pass here in Minnesota. But if you buy the pass for $35, you can get into any state park any number of times over the course of that season.
And we've a 2-year plate.
The shit out of ours.
But it's also a 2-year license plate.
Is it?
Yeah,
that's even better.
It's your entire license plate. So as long as you keep your tabs current. Dude.
Which reminds me, I think my tabs are going to go soon. I need to look at that.
but your tabs just renew your license plate.
Yeah.
Your license plate are a glorified version of your tabs, and you only renew your license plate every so many years.
Right.
You renew your tabs every year. This is just Minnesota. If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, this is just Minnesota. So you renew your tabs every year, but your license plate is only so many years. When you buy that special DNR plate, you not only get that pass that you're referring to, but that money goes directly, that extra money goes directly to that DNR.
Yeah.
So these are, like Jamal said, he really got me on this one. Because I was trying to be like, government's not bad in every scenario. And he goes, the difference there is that's not an enforced tax.
Right.
That's not taken from you. That's a
like
chosen tax.
There's a certain...
And it's arguably the most effective version of the government.
Right.
The DNR is feared and respected. And no one complains about it, including the people funding it to police themselves.
No one ever wrote a song called Fuck the DNR.
Not once.
Not once.
Not once.
I mean, they've got a certain. I don't know what. We should actually Google real quick how much of the Minnesota state budget goes to the Department of Natural Resources, because I'm interested, like as a percentage, what it is.
$1.202 billion.
Wow, that's a good number. at first glance, my first initial reaction is, hey, I like a billion in front of our number for taking care of Minnesota natural.
Oh, this one says up to 1.07 billion. Either way.
So we're in the
about
billion.
$1 billion.
About
and
$1 billion.
That seems right because we have a lot of fucking waterways to maintain.
Yeah, it's super.
So like
crucial.
that might seem insane if you're like living in Arkansas, but like, dude, here's the thing, man. Is like. We have, and you, if you're not from Minnesota, you probably look at Minnesota as a fucking giant cornfield. It's not.
There's quite a bit of shipping that happens here on the Mississippi River.
Well, and not only that, but due to all the fucking waterways, the fucking
all the tributaries,
spillways, the tributaries, those things are hard to get to and maintain. And we keep, dude, Minnesota. Here's my favorite thing about Minnesota. I know we both know a lot of touring musicians. You know a lot of military people.
Yeah.
And every touring musician or military person I know says Minnesota, specifically the Twin Cities, arguably cleanest place in the country.
Right. Dude, Jasmine just
went close.
Jasmine just went to visit a friend down in Tennessee last week, and she spent she flew back on Thursday, but she flew out of Nashville. So she went to Nashville on Wednesday and spent Wednesday evening hanging out in Nashville. And one of the first things she said when she got back was, I couldn't believe how nice Minneapolis is comparatively.
Even like, post riots, which haven't been cleaned up.
Like, yeah, exactly, exactly. Like despite the riots and everything, like I don't know if you've ever driven through fucking St. Louis, but holy shit.
Yeah, I have actually.
You know, it's
a shithole.
Minneapolis is a nice fucking city. Like,
and Minnesota as a whole, which is where we started with this because we were talking about the DNR, like the boundary waters.
Oh my God. The entire North Shore.
Like, dude, we got mad. We got mad as a culture, as a Minnesota culture. We got furious with ourselves because during COVID and the lockdown, when you could do nothing other than camp, a bunch of city folk went up to the fucking boundary waters and cut down a couple trees, left behind a couple beer cans, and didn't clean up a couple bonfires, and we were furious. It made the news up here.
The fucking audacity, though.
The honor, but what I'm getting at is Minnesota.
Culturally, we are very aware of those sorts of things.
We have a deep respect for the land here.
Very seriously.
It's almost as if, this is going to sound crazy, but I'm part native, so I can say it.
But some of that culture
it's
filtered
almost
through.
As if Minnesota is the most Native American state in the nation, other than until you get to like a Wyoming, Montana, where they like.
Well, even like with this mine that
because Minnesota's clean. We don't. Dude, you got to get into some spots like where I live, where motherfuckers just throw trash on the ground, and but then you got motherfuckers like me that angrily come by and clean that shit up. You know what I'm talking about on my specific block.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean, and you see it. You see it across. You kind of see it across cultures. The underclass tends to leave their refuse in the streets. It's a weird cultural schism.
Yeah, I mean trailer parks are predominantly white.
You know what I mean?
Trailer parks in Minnesota are predominantly white, and they're also equally dirty as a predominantly black neighborhood, which is where I live now.
Good. I grew up in Nebraska. I've seen trailer parks. I've lived in Nebraska, and I've lived in Baltimore, and there are parts of Nebraska that are so much worse than Baltimore.
You want to know the most ironic thing I've ever seen in America? And I guarantee you've seen it too. High-end trailer parks.
Oh my God. You mean RV parks?
No, trailer parks. High-end trailer parks.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Where every resident...
they're all double wides.
They're all driving BMWs.
Yeah, and yeah.
These exist in Minnesota, by the way. If listeners are confused... I feel like that's part of my biggest flaw in running this podcast is differentiating when I'm trying to clarify, interject, or comment based on the listeners versus you. It's all about the guests, but I gotta always be conscious that there are people watching these things.
Right.
So in case anybody has no idea what we're talking about, in Minnesota, we have luxury trailer parks. Yes, there's a couple RVs.
They're all over the country. I mean...
but I can't confirm that. You may be able to.
I've lived all over this This lovely country.
I've traveled the country
And
quite extensively, but I don't go
Like, I've
hang out.
spent
I don't go
time.
looking for luxury trailer parks. Is what I'm getting at.
But I do.
But I've seen more than one in Minnesota because back in the day, I was a pizza delivery man in many different cities in this fucking town, and I'm telling you, I've seen more than one, at least two, debatably 3 or 4.
Dude, I fucking love
where everyone's
food
driving
pizza
BMWs
pizza
or
delivery
Lexus.
as a job. Like,
It was all right, dude. Here's the thing: is you put so much damage on your car.
I mean the wear and tear, but everyone is fucking happy to see you.
That's not true. That is not true.
I mean,
Have you been a pizza delivery man?
yes.
Okay, so you're speaking from experience.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I got shit on quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen, but for the most part, someone showing up with pizza is like hardly ever bad news.
There's too
you know
many,
what I mean?
There's too many times you get stiffed though.
Yeah, and
Especially pre-COVID. Pre-COVID,
yeah,
it's a different world. Pre-COVID, snowstorm.
Mm.
You order pizza.
Yep.
You order a small pizza, which is $11 on sale.
Right.
They charge you $1 delivery fee, which I get half of at the time.
Right. 50 cents.
And then you don't tip.
Yeah.
Because you say, well, you got the delivery fee. Motherfucker, it costs me personally more than 50 cents to get you this pizza right now.
Right. Right.
It's a snowstorm.
Right.
You decided to stay in and order a pizza.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the Luce drivers are driving every day of the year.
Dude,
rain, sleet.
Did you ever live
blizzard.
in Uptown?
Huh?
Did you ever live in Uptown?
I've never lived.
Caffrey's. You ever had a Caffrey sub?
Yeah, I have had Caffrey's.
They'll deliver to 4 a.m. on bikes.
No shit.
You tip that person less than $5-10, you're an asshole.
Right.
That person is physically hauling ass to your place as late as 4 a.m.
Right.
So your drunk fucking ass doesn't get a DWI.
And so you can
Pay
wake up.
that person.
Yeah. You're ordering spinach and artichoke dip.
You're ordering a $10 sub.
Yeah.
And someone's going to deliver it to you, and it's still going to be hot and fresh on a bicycle. Pay that motherfucker.
You can't say that capitalism is all bad. You just can't.
Here's what I'm saying, though. Here's what I'm getting at, though.
You can't be that person and then show up for Students for a Democratic Society at 1:00 in the afternoon the next day.
Fair. And let's give a shout out to Dalton for even fucking because he just admitted he's pretty left.
Yeah,
but he'll give the shout out for the capitalism in that one.
Because I've been that guy. I've been drunk at 3:00 in the morning, just like, oh my God, I really need pizza luce artichoke. But
this is what makes capitalism beautiful. Let's get rid of all the negative shit, because dude, it's very hard to hear about anything beautiful about capitalism nowadays. But that is what it is.
Yeah,
here's why capitalism was birthed. Here's why capitalism succeeded, and here's why people worship capitalism like a religion, because it brings up one thing and one thing at the top of the priority list. People say competition. No.
But it's the alleviation of our sins in the middle of the night.
It's freedom. It's freedom of choice. That's what capitalism breeds for the consumer.
I don't know, though, man.
Freedom of choice.
True.
If there is
I'm saying this because I bought a shower head today. And you know what?
Okay. I was trying to go with the Caffrey's delivery route, but let's hear you out.
Well, and this isn't a full I'm not. Why do I have so many choices of fucking shower head? The water comes out, that's what I need. I need the water to come out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Keep going.
And I had to decide between 4 settings on my shower head, 5 settings, 6 settings, 8 settings, and 9 settings.
How many gallons per minute it allows out?
It doesn't matter. I wanted one with 7 settings, and they didn't have it.
Sure.
And they didn't have it. They just didn't have it, and for that reason, capitalism fails.
Well, yeah.
Like
But lack of capitalism doesn't give you 7 settings.
No. But what I'm saying is like there's
capitalism gives you 2 settings, or
such,
not capitalism gives you 2 settings.
Absurdity. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just observing the absurdity that I have so many options to just wash soap off my body. Like all I need to do is not stink, and I have
right. But then why do you have so many choices for guitar, Dalton?
I know, and
you only need 6 strings. You only need 6 strings. A guitar is a guitar, right. Dalton.
I know,
and so you're going to get this government.
It's absurd.
You're going to get this government issued guitar because you only need 20 frets, and you only need 6 strings. And somebody says, "Well, no, I want 7 strings." Or I want 24 frets. And they go, no, you don't need that.
Right, but B.B. King said it with 3 notes anyway, so...
Period.
You know...
But again, it was freedom of choice.
Right. Absolutely. And
for some reason...
And the guitar rabbit hole is the perfect...
Well, you took 25 minutes. I timed it, by the way. You took 25 minutes before the podcast and ranted about how Fender...
Yeah, has this very
specific
bitchin' new guitar that I love.
This very specific Strat,
exactly,
with a very specific wood and pickup combination.
Yeah,
that appealed to you.
Yeah, as a consumer within this system. I know,
but
I know.
Dalton, you're not getting it.
I'm just saying it's absurd.
Capitalism is what's holding you back. If we get rid of capitalism and just make one guitar for everyone, the world will be a better place. Because the fact that you have access to that 24 fret HSS Fender Strat,
right,
that is what's holding other people back.
Right, but I'm not going to change if I get that guitar, am I going to change the world?
You might.
Who knows? I think I could. I think I could.
That tone.
You know.
Here's the thing: is that tone.
Yeah,
properly dialed in.
Oh, giggity.
In the right section of one of my songs.
Yeah, but you know me and tone. I fucking hate tone.
I love Dalton so much. I love Dalton so much. Here's the thing. You know why I love you when it comes to the guitar stuff?
Yeah.
Is you're vastly a better guitar player than me. And you actually know quite a bit more than me about the recording stuff. But you don't have that ego and that arrogance. So when I point something out to you that is better, you go, wow, that's cool. I like that. Yeah. Do you know how many times I've run into a guitar player who gives me the yeah, but?
Yeah, but what if with, yeah.
No, right. They're like, yeah, that's cool, but.
Well, and
then they try to rationalize and stick with their shitty tone or their workflow. Like, dude, when you borrowed me, let's just say it right now. When you borrowed me your computer.
Yeah.
I was so frustrated at the digital setup because the way I was brought up in school and the way I was grown up on
the way you learned how to dial things in and your
not
entire
even just dial things in. I'm not even getting into the tone because tone's subjective. It was the workflow, and you showed up and I was like, oh, by the way, just so you know, I added this, and this to your toolbar so I could do this, and you were like, I didn't even know I could do that.
Right.
And it's not a superiority thing.
No.
It was never part of your workflow. And you were like, dude, that helped me.
Right.
Knowing that was an option. That's what I'm trying to give you props for, man. Because one thing I also wanted to tell you, dude, is like, and this is actually perfect. Now we're getting to the best part of the podcast. I want to give you some props, dude.
Uh-oh.
Because we've been working together on this project for a while.
Right.
And I've been really hard on you, man.
Nah, I wouldn't say you've been hard on me.
No, I have been, dude. Let me say this. I've been really hard on you because I am so focused on making everything sound as if we did everything perfectly in one take.
Right.
That I have not appreciated the technology we have and your ability to use that technology and understand no matter how good we can perform this all live and in one take.
Yeah.
That is not how albums are properly recorded and almost never have been.
Right.
And you have an ability and a way of doing things that if we do it correctly, will make this project and this album better. However, I've been so resistant because of my inexperience as a producer.
Yeah.
That when you try to take a swing and make things better, I oftentimes don't like how the pre-mix is sounding.
Right.
Meaning I'm not giving the trust.
Right. It's hard to trust. It's hard to put faith in someone else to like, no, like you're onto something here. If we take it this direction, it can be better. It won't sound that way right away. And that's a really hard thing to put a lot of faith in.
Right. And not only is it hard to put faith in, but it's specifically hard when it's my baby.
Right.
And I have to constantly remind myself that I didn't just ask you and invite you and be honored for you to accept the role as my lead guitar because of your performance ability, but there's a lot of other intangible things you bring to the table that I need to reappreciate is the only word I can come up with, is the fact that the reason I'm not doing all of this my way from the ground up is because I already knew it was going to be too one-dimensional.
Right.
And I needed to collaborate.
Right.
And when I say collaborate, that's not just on, hey, write a solo here.
Right.
That's also on, like, you're going, dude, here's the thing is this is cool, but let me do this right here.
Yeah.
And then I get a pre-mix and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like shit. Now, I still might be right in that exact moment.
Right.
But I need to, like, basically is what I'm trying to say is I'm acknowledging the fact that you might do something that doesn't sound right in that moment, but I need to be very careful in how I shoot down that riff idea,
right,
versus your willingness to take a shot.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, I'm following
like
you.
I'm missed.
I'm tracking.
But you
I'm
made
tracking
the right decision.
Right. No, I'm tracking.
You missed
100%.
the bucket, game winner. You missed the bucket. But here's the thing: is like you keep making that type of decision in that spot,
right? And
you're going to make more game winners than you lose. I went total full sports analogy there, but that's the only way I can explain.
But I'm tracking 100%
without going for another hour.
It's one of those things that for me,
and that goes for Wally too. If you're watching this, buddy,
I think of myself as performing best as a collaborative artist because that's how I have succeeded the most. It's always been when there's something else going on, I've been able to jump into it and add something to it. Biggest case being -3, because when I joined that band, they were a 3-piece, and like,
I still think they should have named it -4 once you joined. But let's not digress.
Did I ever tell you? Did we talk about this?
I think we talked about this on the last podcast.
Okay, yeah.
I think we did.
They had put up an ad.
We did.
Music
we
Tech.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I tore down the flyers and like, no, they're looking for me. So,
in fact, I'm almost 100%, but just in case, because we've definitely had
we've had the conversation
just in case
before.
The listeners don't know what you're talking about. Hit it real quick. Give them the bullet points of how you joined that band.
I had just moved up here from graduating high school in Nebraska, and I was going to Music Tech at the time, which eventually became McNally Smith. There was this local band had put an ad up saying they were looking for a second guitar player, backup vocalist, looking to be serious. These are our influences, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, oh, well, I like all those bands, and that's exactly what I want to do. So I tore down all the flyers, and I went to the audition, and I got that gig that night. And it was like one of the coolest moments of my life, just being able to like throw my dick on the table and have everyone be impressed like that, you know? Long story longer.
That was a great summary. No, that was a really great, because I'm pretty sure you did tell that on the last podcast.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do this every single time, you guys. Every time he's not on, we're not going to keep telling these same stories. So eventually, we're just going to tell you to go back and check out Dalton's former podcast. But you got lucky this time, because I'm pretty sure we did tell that story on the last podcast.
Where were we right before that?
Well, I was telling you how much I appreciate.
Oh, right.
And then
you
were saying you feel you're best as a collaborative artist.
Yeah, like
in the best example is -3.
Yeah, because like if you listen to it, and nobody really can, if you were to listen to their demos as a 3-piece, And then the stuff we recorded towards the end of our run with me on it, like, there's a difference. You know, like, not to toot my own horn too hard, but like, I'm a fucking guitar player. I can fucking play. And
Dude,
so,
you know what you should do right now?
and so like a 3-piece, like a power trio, adding a lead guitar player that knows what the fuck he's doing and can sing backups just sounds better. It sounds fuller, and you know, yeah. So that's
Well, we kind of ran through that in the Tyrants.
yeah.
We were a 3-piece, and I wanted to add a 4th guitar player, and I found this kid named Sam. Sam, if you're watching this, I love you and I miss you. Call me. I haven't talked to Sam for years.
Yeah.
He warned us when he joined the band. He goes, I promise I won't do this to you guys, but like, I just ghost people. He's like, that's the way I've always been. He's like, I'll just disappear.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll just take a trip to Thailand and be gone for 9 months. He goes, but I promise I won't do this to this band. But if this band breaks up, never be offended when I don't talk to either of you or any of you for
Right.
like 6 years.
Right.
I've done this to everyone in my life.
Right.
I'm just doing my own thing. I love this kid. His
Yeah,
name is
yeah.
Sam. He was 19 when he joined the band. I was like 27.
Yeah.
And he's one of my favorite people I've ever met in my entire life.
Right.
Like, one of the weirdest situations. You meet a kid who is like an innocent kid, yet an old soul at the same time.
Right.
Like a
Right.
true anomaly.
Right.
Sam he's the lead guitar player for the Tyrants. He played one show with us.
Yeah.
And it was kind of exactly what you were talking about. That unfortunately, John and Kevin, they loved Sam and they loved what Sam was doing, but they liked the band better as a 3-piece.
Yeah.
And that might be what really broke the Tyrants up at the end, because I was like, y'all are dumb. We're way better with 4 people, because Sam just added an element to, like, because John wouldn't sing in the interludes.
Right.
And it was like, well, if you're not going to sing in any interlude ever,
Right.
never. Like, as soon as the interlude kicks in, John's done singing, and he won't come back in until a chorus kicks in. Okay,
Right.
well then let's flex some musical muscle here and put in a lead guitar player.
Right.
Like, leads aren't even popular anymore. That's when you should start doing them.
Right.
If lead guitar playing is in every song, when you're listening to this podcast in your country,
Yeah.
if lead guitar players are popular in every song on the radio, stop doing them. If no popular bands in your country on the radio are playing solos in their songs, start playing solos.
Yeah.
Go against the grain. That's really what I'm getting at.
For sure.
But I just wanted to give you the respect and let you know, and I'm just like, fuck it, you know, we're on the podcast, we'll just do it now. But for real, because I was thinking about that shit the other night, and I was listening to the headphones, and I jumped on Kevin's headphones, and I started hearing things happening in the background.
Yeah.
And I started to just appreciate the production quality, which is something you're always ranting about.
Yeah.
Like, I'll play you a demo, and I'm like, this shit's awesome. And when I say a demo, I'm talking of a different band. Like, I'll play him a demo of a different band, and one of the first things out of your mouth every time is, wow, the fucking production quality is phenomenal. I'm like, fuck the production quality. Listen to the fucking guitar riff, dude. Listen to that
Right.
fucking drumming. Like, listen to the songwriting. But one of the things that always sticks out to you is what they're doing on the production
Right.
level. And that's something I
That-
just
that started at an
lacked
early
appreciation
that started
for,
at an early
specifically
age.
when you're involved, though.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to give you props.
Thank you
For that, man. Because
Well,
I
I got to pass that up to Ross Robinson, the dude who produced the first Korn album, the first Limp Bizkit album, the first
Slipknot album.
first Slipknot album, the first Glassjaw album. Like, I love those albums. Those were super formative albums for
Strike
for-
one. Strike one.
I know how you feel about Glassjaw. We talked about that last time I was over here. Just
Don't ever
bullshit.
bring up Glassjaw on my podcast.
But the
again.
sound of that
Strike
album
one.
is what is equally important as everything else that's happening on it. And part of Ross Robinson's whole like recording ethos was recording to tape. And that's why all of those albums have that, like, as the French say, I don't know what. Yeah,
Sure.
you know what I mean? There's a certain warmth to that tape, that 2-inch tape sound, and when I realized that all of those bands that I liked had all been produced by the same guy, that's when I realized that that was a thing. You know, so that's when I realized, oh my God, there's Ross Robinson, there's Rick Rubin, and then there's like the people that are mixing all these albums,
Mhm.
like the Chris Lord Alges, and like I was like, oh man, There's a whole deeper world here to get into.
There's another person outside of the band that's responsible for this.
And then when I heard Slipknot's demo that got them signed. No, absolutely not. I have to drive, and I've had 3 beers.
You got to drive a whole 2 blocks.
I know, right?
You could walk.
I could.
You really could. It'd take you 20 minutes to walk home.
Yeah, it would.
Which is not 2 blocks. That'd be the longest 2 blocks of all time. 20 minutes.
At least it's all downhill. Fuck. Jesus. God, that would be fucking terrible.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. It's all downhill from here.
I could always drive your car back in the morning.
I'd be
you could also crash here if you want.
No, I'm good. I should probably take off here pretty quick. I do have to meet the old lady.
Dude, we've been going almost 4 hours. You want to just wrap this up now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for listening. If you like the podcast, if you enjoyed the conversation, I know we're all over the place, but that's kind of the point of the podcast. We're not 60 Minutes. We're not Larry King. This isn't an interview.
This isn't Charlie Rose. This isn't Hot Ones.
Hearing this. I'm so sick of hearing this. Like, it's literally the point, is we're all over the place. It's just 2 friends hanging out.
Shooting the shit.
We talk about a lot of shit. We get into a lot of shit. Like, share, hit subscribe. The biggest thing is word of mouth sharing. I don't promote the podcast. I share it. I don't pay for any promotions. The biggest compliment I've gotten is the referrals and the word of mouth and fucking people just being into it. So like, share, hit subscribe if you want to follow me on
ring that bell for notifications.
Oh, holy shit, my boy Anwar just texted me. I just seen it pop up. Shout out to Anwar if you're watching this right now.
Hey,
I just
Anwar.
got a text from Anwar. He said, "You're right. Kubiak has to go because I haven't let this go. Say what you want about Kirk Cousins. Say what you want about the Vikings defense. I'm telling you right now, Kubiak has to go."
He's the offensive coordinator?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Because we seen Kirk Cousins actually look pretty fucking good last year.
Yeah, I'd say so. And the year before that.
Especially under pressure in a playoff game when the game was on the line. He drove us down the field and beat the Saints on the road.
The Minneapolis Miracle.
That was Case Keenum.
That was Case Keenum. But still, the Minneapolis Miracle.
We need a word. We need a word for what happened in New Orleans because that was almost as good as the Minneapolis Miracle. Like walk-off touchdown in overtime to beat the Saints in the playoffs.
Having sex is cool.
Anwar, here's the point. Here's the
point.
point. Shout out to you. You're the better stat guy. You got a better memory when it comes to specific stats. But I hold my own when it comes to my NFL history, and I hold my own when it comes to actual play calling and the scheme on the field. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And Kubiak is a disaster. It's Kubiak plus Cousins. See, Kubiak plus Peyton Manning, Super Bowl.
Right.
Kubiak plus Cousins equals 0-16. DeFilippo lost his job for less.
Right.
Fire Kubiak now, save the season. That's the bottom line. If and only if you have another version of Kevin Stefanski sitting in the wings. If you guys like the podcast, everything's Jared Singer Live. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, the whole deal. This thing wouldn't exist. I know it's only small and it's new. This sounds cheesy. But seriously, I don't even know if I would have had the confidence and the wherewithal to keep going this far. But you guys are listening, and you guys are extremely supportive. The text messages and private messages I get, man, thank you guys so much. We're on episode 23 coming up on 25, which is my golden episode because that's my birthday. And I appreciate you guys so much. Much love. And we'll see you on the flip side, guys. Thank you.